Hello and welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Full Series Career. We have 2 days of round robins left for our Contenders Career teams trying to secure their spot into the playoffs next week. And with such intense matches happening, especially last night's matches, we're expecting a lot more energy to come out as they confirm their final few points and place themselves within their playoffs. Papadaka and myself, Opara, will be leading you through these next 2 days to see who makes the playoffs and who falls short. So on a scale of 1 to 67, Pap, how excited are you really?
Hello everybody. Maybe only about a 67 to be honest. Yeah, not much.
Next level excitement coming up from Pap.
What?
Yeah.
Apara, I am very, very excited about today's matches. I mean, I only need to mention the first map, and I don't think I could get you to be quiet. We've got Dreamers versus SPG. For those that don't know, very long running now, ever since the summer series, the beginning of this year, when we cast the Korean Contenders. Apara picked Dreamers, and they've been absolutely smashing it so far.
Early on, they had couple of falling behinds against, especially O2 Blast and whatnot. They went head to toe with them, and so definitely they were that underdog team. They proved why they deserve to be considered an underdog team, especially with their Overwatch League run. So very exciting to see them back in Contenders. See my boys back. It's good.
It is 2 undefeated teams though. Like SPG, They got close. Very, very close, but just managed to eke it out for a 3-2. So, but Dreamers, they've had a bit of I wouldn't say easier run, but they've definitely 3-0'd all of their opponents, whereas SPG haven't managed to 3-0 just yet. But maybe this could be the first time that Dreamers are really challenged in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think the better way to put it is they've just had a stronger run so far. They've 3-0'd Limix, and they've 3-0'd Euphoria, and so now it's just will they be able to 3-0 SPG and make it a nice clean sweep for themselves so far? Obviously they still have one more match after that, but yeah, definitely looking strong for themselves at the moment.
And then the second match will be Revival versus Pokerface. Now, and Pokerface is such a strong team right at the top, and then Revival falling down. But can they pick themselves back up? But anyway, here is the week 1 to 2 group stages over.
Yep, don't forget each group is playing a round robin at the moment for these few weeks to try get into the playoffs. The top 3 seeds from each group will enter into the playoffs. As you can see here, these are our playoffs. They'll be happening next week, and it's going to be some very fun matches. Of course, the winners will be going up against each other at the WDG Esports Studio, seeing that LAN battle again. That's what we live for,
Good. Yeah, we're doing, I think you and I were doing Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So we're doing this, we're going to cover the semis with you guys, of course. But yeah, seeing everyone back on LAN will be great. We might even see a couple of wonderful people in the audience as well for the sign meta, perhaps, if we can pick that one back up again. But yeah, I mean, currently though, we're still in those rounds. And a lot of these players here, a lot of these teams, are trying to get out of the lower 2, because if you are at the bottom, you cannot go any further, Apara.
Yeah, unfortunately, some of our teams are now considered out, especially with JNGK taking down Euphoria 3-0 yesterday. That does leave Euphoria and Limix, unfortunately, out for playoffs contention. It has confirmed SPG, Dreamers, and JNGK. The question now becomes, where are they seeded? Euphoria and Lemix, they just have to, have a match against each other, have some fun maybe, see who comes out on top, see who's not, quote unquote, the lowest of the low. And then on the other side for Group A, Revival still have a chance to come into this. They've got 2 more matches. Lo and behold, one of them is going to be very hard. Pokerface, considered one of the top teams. That will be an intense battle for Revival. But hey, stranger things have happened. Revival could bring themselves a revival, take down Pokerface, and put themselves into playoffs contention.
I mean, we saw what Panthera could do, right? When Arpen got player of the match, because he absolutely popped off on the tank. So perhaps we'll see a little bit of revival from Revival. But again, as you said, Pokerface, man, that is going to be such a tough matchup. But if they can somehow pull it through, they will be versing Panthera tomorrow for their final match up. And if they can take that home, then they will beat Panthera. However, that's going to be really tough, as you said, though. This is our first match, SPG versus Dreamers, and this one will be close, I presume, but Dreamers have just been looking so strong. However, it has been a while since they have hit the field.
I mean, you know I'm excited for this match. This is going to be a fun one. SPG, they've been coming out on top in their matches, but not flawlessly. They have had struggles, and it's especially once that third map hits. Once we go to Flashpoint, all of a sudden, SPG seem to kind of fall apart. If Dreamers take the first two maps, it's going to be scary times for SPG. They're going to have to put themselves in that sort of reverse sweep mentality that all the other teams have been putting themselves up with SPG.
Yeah, I mean, consistently SPG, they've done well, but they've always struggled to close it out. They're leading 2, and then their opponents just happen to get over them for 2 matches, and it just comes right down to the wire. So, as you said, SPG are going to have to do really, really well to make sure Dreamers don't make them collapse pretty much instantly. And, I mean, with this kind of lineup, it's going to be tough. Aid, huge player on the DPS, but we're already off to Dreamers, Apara. Dreamers, they're going to lead with Jasmine as their tank this time round. But Top Dragon, they've been absolutely popping off. We saw an incredible series with them on Genji. Sad, we'll be backing them up and keeping everybody alive. We'll be missing and Data.
Yeah, certainly two very strong teams going up against each other. This Jasmine versus Milgaru tank matchup is going to be really exciting to see. But also, I'm also interested to see the likes of maybe Although versus Top Dragon or Sad. You know, there's some really big names here for both teams. And ultimately, I do feel like this still could be quite an intense match and potentially a chance for Dreamers to drop a map.
This is definitely their hardest opponent yet, and SPG as well. They've been in the furnace, so they've been cooking all these new meta strategies. Like I said before, Dreamers, there's been a little bit since we've last seen them too, so a lot of these teams that otherwise we've thought maybe a little bit more middle of the pack have proven themselves over time. Now they're bringing it to what's considered the bigger teams. Can they pull through? This is where you can really see, okay, SPG, they've done really, really well winning the really tough matchups, but here's Dreamers. Have fun.
Yeah, SPG certainly going to have to wake up, sharpen up their game. I'm excited to see if it works out, though. I mean, definitely this is going to be an intense match, and what a map to start on as well. Busan, admin pick, of course, but there is so much variety that we can start out with on Busan. I'm excited to see what both teams bring, even. And,
dream up.
You know,
what about that?
Yeah,
What has Dreamers been dreaming up? I mean, look, we've been seeing some pretty, let's just say, not average, but cookie cutter picks from Dreamer. Like, you know, you get the Genji, you get the Zarya, you get the Orisa. Wouldn't surprise me if we see what we've been seeing on Busan, especially Mecha Base and stuff, like those maps where it is very brawly. You usually see the Orisa. However, it would not surprise me if Zarya comes out as well. And then the other open maps, though, like you said, Apara, this is where it really opens up to maybe we will see a bit more ball. Maybe we will see even a Winston come on out. But it seems like, at least for now, it will be Milgaru on the Orisa. But Jasmine, there you go, on the Junker Queen. I think we were talking about earlier, we can't wait for a Junker Queen view. Junker Queen, maybe it's coming, but certainly not this time.
Now, asking you shall receive, Pap. You got your Mecha Base straight away.
I did. How about that?
Yeah, but Jasmine already swapped off to Zarya, maybe looking to go a little bit more tried and true.
I think it was just really to bubble Top Dragon. They know Top Dragon is such an amazing Genji. Bubbling Top Dragon will allow him to go through, almost play like a tank.
There we go, it's Aid going straight into assault form here. Trying to find anybody, but just Dreamers hiding around the corner. Top Dragon now trying to go in, hoping to find a victim, and it's although falling to the grenade of Sad, making it just a little bit harder for SPG to stay up, and this is just going to be a clean sweep straight away. Dreamers going to take point early.
I felt like SPG were kind of waiting and hoping for, like, okay, Dreamers, you come to us and then we'll blow you up. But Dreamers, they kind of just split off in two different directions and then collapsed on top of SPG, and it was just a little bit too much there. Top Dragon getting so many dash resets there, and now coming back into it, Aid looking for a good pick here, but can't even get out.
They're running out. This SPG is just looking to get right onto point, force Dreamers into an uncomfortable position. And with Jasmine and Data both gone, this actually worked out. That speed, that tempo for SPG completely shattered Dreamers apart.
Yeah, I mean, usually for most teams, you don't really keep the sim past when you get out of spawn. Like, you know, Top Dragon, okay, they win sim for a tiny bit to get everyone out of spawn, but once you kind of got it, usually you go Genji or you might even go Tracer. But here, though, this is where you can get the TPs, really mix Dreamers up, make them super confused. Top Dragon falling to 11 HP.
We're gonna commit the blade, taking down Lee Su-min. The sound barrier, not allowing too much more to come through at the moment, but although did die during it. Look how aggressive SPG is still playing though, going right into the face of Sad, getting punished for it, but man, that was a good stagger out for Sad.
I've still kind of got the point here, SPG. They're committing artillery strike as well. Don't think it will get much, and Aid, I don't know, this might be a big stagger unless SPG can come back and save them, but talking artillery strike, Sad does have one, but it's the photon barrier first pop.
Try drop it down and it's on to 2! SPG did not like that. They tried to help the Terror Surge, but there was an artillery strike waiting to happen. Sad now just wanting to clean up and get the point back, because it did flip to SPG during it.
Not for long though. Only about 15% was gained immediately. Goes back to Dreamers, as they did use a lot of ults there, Opa. They only really have window from Missin. I guess that's a lot of damage, but if you can get Sad behind it, perhaps it'll be enough.
So there's a bit of a dry fight at the moment, but that's okay. Both teams know how to work it, and with Aid taking down Top Dragon early, that's certainly bad news. The amplification matrix is starting to even it up, and might be enough for Dreamers to turn the tide. Certainly with Wu Chen going down, it's going to make it a little bit easier, and Dreamers should take this fight.
It's really tough when you are just, it's Orisa v Zarya. We've been seeing it quite a bit with APAC, but definitely with Korean contenders. And Zarya, if she's just full of charge, it's very, very hard for the Orisa to stop. They need quick fights here.
Oh, that was not good. Aid going down early is going to make this so hard for SPG. There's so much damage gone. But Jasmine taken out through their amplification matrix. All of a sudden, SPG might have a hope here. Data gets chased down by a though, and now it really is just SPG's point to take back.
No, that was really well played there from SPG. They had to take it too. That was final fight there for Dreamers, and they have a little bit of time, especially to get those ults back up. Top Dragon at 90% and Sad with another artillery strike, which was absolutely amazing when they were all captured in that grab. But Milgaru's now holding on to the Terror Surge. SPG, they need to be really, really mindful of what ultimates they use and when, as the artillery strike will come out from Sad.
First, to initiate this fight, Terror Surge is going to be the response from SPG, and it takes down both supports. All of a sudden, Dreamers, what are you going to do? You've got to hope this blade is big, or otherwise this point may be going SPG's way. Top Dragon just can't make it work.
Oh, Dreamers, that was so well played from SPG. They completely took out the support, so just left Top Dragon by themselves. Now it'll be a last second touch from Data.
I don't think they even got it. Yeah, both supports died. No touch.
Yeah.
Wow, SPG really being able to up the bar, go toe-to-toe with Dreamers. I wonder whether Dreamers are a little bit surprised.
I would say so. I think, if they're just looking on paper, they're like, okay, we've 3-0'd everybody else. What's SPG like? But as we were saying in the intro, SPG, they've had so many of their matches, trials by fire, furnace, and just... It's been quite insane. They've managed to bring back so many, and they're doing it again here. And I guess now, going into this next map, can they keep it going? Wu-Chan now switched over to the Alari, which we've been seeing a little bit of. It's either the Brig or the Alari. And Milgaru, I was talking about Ball earlier, was I not? They're actually gone over to Ball. And Milgaru has been such a brilliant Ball.
Yeah, I feel like there's two players that if Ball can be played, they'll play it, and that's KSG and Milgaru. So I'm excited to see this Ball roll out here.
Oh, as they've all taken to high ground, SPG putting a lot of pressure onto Dreamers, but it's actually Dreamers to get the first pick, and it's a huge one too. That's the bat gone. There's no healing. It's going to be really, really hard to push into on this point of Para.
Yeah, Milgaru recognizes it is going to just fall back to the team. This feels like a really hard approach for SPG. They've got no tank to help them go in.
No, you're kind of hoping for although to hack either one of the supports, or the Bastion would be big, or maybe even the Echo from the sky, call in Milgaru to back them up. But when you don't have someone like a Genji as well, you really have to be communicative and push them into the line of sight of aid. There you go, there's a pick, but it's going the other way too.
Yeah, Bastion's sort of traded their kill for kill, but Top Dragon then taking down Lee Soo-min. Once again, SPG does not have their support, and they just cannot enter in. Sure, Alari's good, but it's more the turret than the characters themselves. They're the DPS part.
That's a brutal stagger onto Wu-Chan there, as it does tick up to 40%. This is where it starts getting hard for the attackers as Dreamers. They've now got some ultimates coming online. You got the duplicate. You also nearly got artillery strike as well. However, SPG, they've nearly got their own amplification matrix at least. There's a hack onto... Oh no! Is that Jasmine gone?
No, Jasmine survived, managed to get into an immortality, stay alive a little bit longer. Top Dragon now duplicating onto the Baptiste as well. That just opens the door for Data to go crazy, taking out two. And Milgaru not quite going to get away that time as Top Dragon's duplicate cleans it up.
Top Dragon going on to BAP. You don't see that very often. Most of the time it has been on the tanks despite the health decrease that you get. Now though, Apara, this is final fight territory already. 80% onto Dreamers, and they only really had to use one ultimate of Top Dragons to take it. SPG, they need to come up with a miracle here.
Oh, getting the Alari taken down is devastating news for SPG right now. They do even it up with Dreamers going missing here, but now Milgaru trying to stall it out. Minefield on point, but the Flux is also going to be scaring that Wrecking Ball away from point. Takes him out too. The boulder, the accretion right on top of Lee Soo-min. Jasmine just giving us a masterclass right now on the Stigma. Just two left, and this point will go to Dreamers.
Yeah, I don't know why all those stuck with the Sombra for so long. They had the EMP for a little while, but it didn't get nearly as much value as they were hoping to. Perhaps you run it out, in case they run a ball or something, which would be very unlike Dreamers, to be honest. But once they couldn't get the picks that they were really searching for, SPG, forcing the Sombra, not getting any value, was a tough one. Now, my goodness, Jasmine, though, completely shut down, not just the BAP, but also the minefield as well. Didn't get any value. There's the EMP, couldn't even get a pick themselves. And SPG, I don't know, that looked like a bit of a different team there. Apara's Dreamers kind of downloaded them a little bit here, so hopefully as they run out here, SPG, they've got a bit of a different comp with Aid now. Beautiful Widowmaker going off to the side to see if they can get a big pick onto someone like Missin or Data.
Widow needs to pop off here. I think that's the big play for SPG, is just what can Aid do? Milgaru will put people in the air. Aid needs to follow up.
There's a bit of a ring around a Rosie here as they've now almost swapped sides. Wu-Chan though, first to fall again. Top Dragon, beautiful Genji.
everyone's just everywhere, and the Dreamers can just run you over. Just kind of become a bit of a death ball, chase down one target, catch them out, and now they're finding the next two. Although May have taken out one, and Milgaru took out Miss, and Dreamers are still getting majority of the picks on their side.
It's the difference between taking a Lucio over taking a Lari in this case. Like, you want a Lucio when you do have the Zarya, so you can chase them down. It also helps Genji. Yes, they have dash, but it's so that they can hold dash a little bit longer, follow up a little bit easier as well. So that is why this Lucio is working so well as SPG. They are solely reliant on getting picks, or although getting into the backline, who's now actually gone off the Sombra from last round onto the Tracer. Got a pick, but Top Dragon again, first to get it.
Oh man, Top Dragon is just nasty. We've been saying a lot, this Genji from Top Dragon is crazy, and that's why, you know, Top Dragon just knows who to focus down. Taking now Lee Soo-min out. SPG are just started trickling in.
I feel really bad for Wu-Chan. They've been the first to fall in 3 fights in a row. They're only 60% to their captive son. Oh, that was aid that time.
Now got onto the Sojo, but still not making anything work. The Pulse Bomb is going to take out Sam, but this Blade is finishing off Wu-Chan and the turret. You know, going to get that other player from the team, and man, yeah, the real support here.
The real support.
Milgaru.
What?
Finally making a little bit of a meal out of Dreamers, and finally turning the favor into SPGs.
At 68% too, that's not too bad. As well, they only had to use Minefield and Bomb there. They've got a really big ultimate of Lee Sung-min now with the Kerry. I guess that would allow Wu-Chan, but especially A, to really pop off now that they got the defensive positioning. So as the Kasune Rush should be popped here, I'd hope proactively as Dreamers. They're just kind of taking space for free right now, and they go, they're down. Sung-min.
It can't be popped when they're taken out. Top Dragon once again just putting in that work, finding those critical picks, and now it just makes this fight so much easier. Grab onto 2, easy cleanup for Sad and Top Dragon, and points right back to Dreamers.
Oh, it kind of just felt like they gave Dreamers a little bit too much space there, or at least gave Top Dragon too much space. However, it seems like Top Dragon always the first one to get a pick. However, SPG, they need to take this next fight here, otherwise they will be down a whole map into this series here. But with Top Dragon going in as hard as they are...
Oh, the captive son just to punish Top Dragon, and Top Dragon's still alive so far. Data did fall, and Aid now taking out Top Dragon. Wants to punish Wu-Chan for their aggression there, but not able to finish them off just yet. Lee Soo-min comes in, and although is able to turn the tables back to SPG.
Top Dragon got a little bit excited there, I think. He just isolated himself away from the rest of the team. Sag got picked out there, which is exactly what you want to do as SPG. You need to look for those stragglers, and this is the final, it could be the final fight. Dreamers looking to take this one, but Milgaru, beautiful minefields the last time, needs to be replicated. However, Top Dragon does have the Blade in its back pocket.
Leo wanting to get in from behind, but Top Dragon's Blade finding 2, completely turning the fight back to Dreamers, and that should be Dreamers taking this point. It's just, will anyone touch? Milgaru taken down overtime, was ticked, but yeah, Dreamers get our first map for the series.
I know this was a small thing, but completely shut down the Pulse Bomb as well with a beautiful bubble. I thought just those little micro plays, absolutely amazing, keeping the Bastion alive, allowing the damage to keep coming through that amp matrix. So Dreamers completely downloading in the end. It's like that, right? They lose a map, they're like, okay, this is how SPG want to play, and it really felt like SPG barely touched the point in those final 2 maps, but it is, however, SPG's map choice for the next one, so it's up in the air. How do they want to try and get over the top of Dreamers?
Yeah, I mean, SPG, they're definitely going to have to try figure out what they're going to do against Dreamers. They're going to take a short break to figure that out, and so will we, so don't go anywhere. Dreamers are up 1-0, and so far looking quite strong, especially on those last two matches. SPG looked good first point. I wonder whether we'll see that Orisa come back, Pat.
I mean, I think it's a question also for what map SPG want to pick. You've got Blizzard World, Kings Row, or Midtown. Now we see a lot of Midtown. This, even if you've watched APAC, and especially if you've watched Korean Contenders, we see a lot of Midtown. We did see Blizzard World yesterday. There was some small miracles. We thought that was just the OPAPA map, but I guess not. I doubt, it's very doubtful we'll see Kings Row. I think we've only seen it once, all the way back in week 1, I believe, of Korean Contenders. So if we do end up going Midtown, again, it might be a difference of comps. We might see, like, for example, we have seen a double sniper. That was more in the APAC. But again, we have seen, even if it's just the Widowmaker with the Bastion, it wouldn't surprise me if both teams still end up running Bastion, or at least the attacking team, like SPG, running Bastion with the Orisa comp. But they do have to find an answer to this Zarya.
Now, it looks like we are going Kings Row. It looks like we're going Kings Row. And I wanted to say, I feel like Midtown is not a good map pick, purely because of Jasmine Sigma. And we see a fair bit of Sigma on Midtown, so I think it's a smart choice to not go Midtown. But Kings Row, what do you think SPG are wanting to bring out? Do you think they're going to keep the Wrecking Ball? Maybe go... that feels risky.
If they do, I will stroke chin very aggressively if I see that again, especially on this on a map like this. However, Apara, just back on that Sigma, I still think Jasmine could run a Sig on defense, but yeah, there you go. I called it. They are going to run the Sig on the defense because it is so good at stopping an aggressive push. That's if Milgaru decides to go on the Doomfist. There's absolutely no way we'll see a Life Weaver, right? This is small miracles could happen. But anyway, on the defense, though, like we were saying or suggesting, Sad will remain on that Bastion. Top Dragon, though, we don't see Echo too often. Some maps that you do see is a lot in Ilios, but here you have got a lot of cover up above with the hotel you can fire down with. And Dreamers, though, they're looking for a very bunkery poke comp, whereas SPG, they just want to go all in. Although is on the Genji, just looking for a quick pick. Wouldn't surprise me if they switch after a little bit. But yeah, Milgaru, they need to find a way in and a pick fast. But Jasmine, like you said, their Sigma is so brutal.
I would be scared going up against Jasmine's Sigma, that's for sure. But Milgaru immediately paying dividends with that Doomfist pick. Takedown data, Sad, following up on Lee Soo Min, and it becomes so much harder to approach when your Ana's not there to shoot heals from far, and Blue Chain just isn't enough.
Yeah, that was really lucky for Dreamers to take out the Ana because you lost data, you lost the heal yourself, so it's pretty much a dead fight. But this is where the poke comp is really brutal because Dreamers, they can consistently build up that ult charge. SPG just backing up a little bit, waiting and building Nano Blade, which is definitely their win condition here. But although it's down, one of your win conditions can't die.
Yeah, you can't build Nano Blade when your Genji can't build the blade part of that. That's not good news for SPG at the moment, as they are sent right back home.
Right back, and that is the first minute and 15 seconds burnt down from Dreamers. And as I always say, this is where the ults come out to play. You have the flux from Jasmine to shut down a big dive should Wu Chan want to pop Kasune Rush in the next one. It wouldn't surprise me because it would help, certainly, Lee Son Min and although to build up that blade, even if they can't win off the back of it. But there's the Ant Matrix.
And a Bastion shooting right through that is scary news. Milgaru recognized it, had to just get away. Kitsune Rush is available if they want to try rush in, but with A taken down once again, SPG's approach is just halted.
Yeah, first 2 minutes are down, but this is where it becomes a little bit scary for Dreamers. How are they going to shut down this Nano Blade that's coming out? I guess you got Duplicate if you want to, I don't know, get onto the Kiri for at least a little bit of invincibility for some time, but Milgaru getting taken out. They just keep getting picked after pick. Dreamers are doing an exceptional job at the moment.
It seems like there's a lack of coordination going on from SPG. Everyone's just trying to go their own journey, and it's not working out.
They're trying to find themselves, but instead they're just finding the spawn room again and again. But here comes the Nano. Late.
Right onto Bastion. Bastion managing to survive with the immortality and actually surviving through pure heals. You're right, Top Dragon duplicated the Kiriko and managed to keep that alive, completely shut down the blade. And SPG's potentially last hope has been completely taken out. Now Artillery Strike trying to zone anyone else out. Wu-Chan hoping to find a dream there, but Top Dragon's sticky bombs are going to take them down. Jasmine going right up to Lee Sumin's face, and Sad finishes them off. SPG, what are they going to do?
That's a bit of a head scratcher, right? You have Aid. Aid is a wonderful hit scan player, but they've put a lot of pressure onto the poor bloke. He's got the overclock, and never mind, they're doing a complete switch, SPG. Final fight. Aid gone over to the sim for, obviously, to teleport them in and all past a lot of that poke, but Dreamers, they're onto it.
Jasmine right up in your face, although it's the first to go down though. Top Dragon's going to even it up, taking out one of the supports of Lee Su-min. Hoping to now find Aid with those sticky bombs. It doesn't quite connect, and Jasmine taking themselves out actually might finally be the opening SPG need. And yeah, this point is going to start ticking over. Data down, it's just missing.
Yeah, with both your supports gone really late as well, that will basically confirm SPG will take that first point. As not just that, but because of the support late picks, they'll get a really long spawn, so that will force Dreamers to wait until at least the second corner here. SPG will be able to push up with Milgaru on that Reinhardt, which I'm always a fan to see Reinhardt back in play, and seeing a little bit of off meta has kind of shaken Dreamers up here, Opa.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen FM try the Reinhardt. Let's see whether SPG has a little bit more success, as that amplification matrix is going to make it hard for Milgaru to come out of this wee little bookshop right now. Manages to just flank around, and with the photon barrier, you've got a little bit more room to breathe. Artillery Strike, not going to take anyone out, but that Gravitic Flux saved by an immortality for now. Jasmine really hoping that was going to come out big, but not quite as big as they hoped. Milgaru, though, feeling a lot of pain. Missing, finishing them off. Top Dragon also took out Lee Su-min, so now Jasmine's just hoping to send these last few SPG members back to spawn.
Oh, this will be quite long too. Can Lucio get out in time? Wu-Chan running, although there's no escape for them. As they will... I'm surprised, honestly, Milgaru's this far up. I suppose they do have Shatter, though, with a 3v2. You may as well push this. Lucio also back in play, too, and you can see Dreamers really respecting the Reinhardt. They know exactly the Shatter that they have.
Yeah, Shatters online. Artillery Strike 2. Onto Sad, but not quite finishing them off. The heals from Missing were enough, and so now Milgaru just looking for the TP Shatter, but it's still blocked! Still blocked! They predicted the TP Shatter, got the shield from behind! Jasmine is so talented on the Sigma, and Milgaru falls, getting absolutely decimated from Data here, and now once again, SPG are just wondering, where are our ults going?
Well, look, they did it once. Maybe they can do it again. Their biggest ultimates in play were used in the second last fight. 15 seconds remaining here. Milgaru, interestingly enough, has not gone over to the ball with only 10 seconds. Can they even touch Oprah? I'm not really sure. There's a duplicate from Top Dragon. I reckon everything's really on Wu-Chan.
Oh, Lee Su-min taken out. Even if they do get a touch, it's going to be so hard! The 4K Artillery Strike! They were still going to get that map win, but with style. Oh, not map win, point win, but with style now.
Wow, okay, Sad. Damn. Sad just said no, basically, to anything SPG was trying in that final fight. I think they were really hoping for the TP, but there was no immortality field to stop Artillery Strike at all. They were just sitting ducks to it. That was absolutely brutal. I think we're going to see it from again. I'm not unhappy to do it.
The stun.
You can see what they were trying. Yeah, they were trying to TP. They were trying
Did
to
you
beat it.
see Dada's stun onto Milgaru as well, just to make sure no one got out? That was beautiful. That rally to stun them out. That was really nice.
Well, can Dreamers now? They don't have to push it too far, but point A it can be difficult. Milgaru on ball. I was like, I was gonna have some words.
Hey, I said it might come.
Yeah, you did. You called it. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, you do see ball, I guess, occasionally there's a lot of grapple spots because it is quite close quarters, relatively speaking, but Dreamers coming out with the Tsar. Now, there's always that classic, do I go Genji, do I go Reaper? And Dreamers go, no, why not both? It will be hard to shut down, never mind, to shut down the ball. Now it won't, because Sad's gone Bastion. If they can stun him, even just a little bit, especially with Although immediately seeing Milgaru on the ball going over to the Mei. Top Dragon, though, actually switched over. They're switching a lot. Now over to the Genji to put a lot of pressure onto the Bastion.
And it works! Aid taken down first. Top Dragon really happy. Sadmay got the kill, but Top Dragon certainly set it up for them. And now Dreamers have quite the control over point. SPG are going to have to find a way to approach, but everyone is everywhere, and that's so easy for Dreamers to just clean up. Milgaru is able to protect Wu-Chan for now. Will it be enough to stall it out and bring this fight back? Although going down, I do not think so anymore.
That's the issue with ball, unless ball's constantly getting value in their backline. Wow, that was a last second switch onto the Orisa from Milgaru. They got back and spawned just in time before it switched. And I think good thing too, because what I was about to say is Dreamers, once they get that first pick, there's nothing to stop it. There's no tank in your way like an Orisa, like Jasmine Sigma to shut anything down on the defense. And I think it's a really good choice. Have a little bit more of that frontline support for the rest of your team, for Aiden, although to get those walls. The Top Dragon, as ever, just getting it the fastest played known to man, already 70%.
And look at this time as well, 5 minutes left on the clock. That wall is good though from SPG, immediately taken out. Dreamers putting in so much damage with Sad. Implication Matrix now free because there is no Mei wall to try and block it, and not quite being able to line up anything, but Jasmine taking down Milgaru is bad news for SPG. The box is getting closer and closer by the second, and Sad's taking names. The captive Sun falling so low. Wu-Chan not able to get any value out of that captive Sun. Now just being chased down. There's a blade from Top Dragon just to get the kill, and miss it as our payload princess pushing it through to the end there.
Oh gosh, it is hard to see a way out right now for SPG unless they do something that their opponents nearly try and do but actually succeed, and that's go for this reverse sweep. But at the moment, Dreamers, I don't want to do the whole daft thing, but they have sufficiently downloaded and adapted to whatever happened in that first map, right? There's nothing that SPG have been able to come up with. Like Milgaru going on the ball, I guess the plan was to just get into their backline, annoy them enough for Aid the opening to just mow them down, but that's where you get the Genji of Top Dragon just completely mowing you down.
Listen, SPG are now in a position where they have to try and do what all their opponents tried and do, and bring the reverse sweep. We'll see whether they're able to gather up the energy together to take it on Flashpoint after a short wee break. Dreamers have put themselves in quite the nice position to potentially go without another map loss. However, we're moving into Flashpoint, and if everyone knows what happens on Flashpoint, it seems to be the map where things turn and teams kind of wake up almost and start taking the match back. So will SPG be able to do that, especially after two of their rival teams that they played against did it to them?
It literally, as I was about to point out, both times it's happened to SPG whenever they've gone to Flashpoint. Sometimes they have won it, don't get me wrong, but this is where the team, it just seems like this is where all the teams that have been losing so far, they can clutch it out, start to turn it around. Also, Flashpoint is notoriously pretty long. You have a lot of time. Even if you drop two of the objectives, you can still come back into it. So it's all about, will they pick New Junk City or Savasa? Savasa, a little bit more open, I'd argue. You've got a little bit more open spaces, more angles to flank. Whereas if you want to go like super duper brawly, a lot of New Junk City's objectives are like that. And we have seen a little bit from SPG. We saw some Reinhardt plays, so if you do want to teleport around. However, it's not to say you can't try that in Savasa, but we have seen Milgaru go so hard on the ball recently, even if it is to their detriment on Kings Row. And Savasa, because of its more openness, maybe they will go that and really allow Milgaru to get into their backline a bit easier, flank, put Although on the Tracer again, or maybe even try them on the Genji, because it's been working so well for Top Dragon.
Listen, if they do that, all I'm asking is that they kind of move a bit more together. I feel like it's been very much individualistic in their fights, and what's happening is because they're taking these individualistic fights, Dreamers are just finding the players alone and collapsing on top of them. So I think it can work, especially if we do go to Savasa. It might even work on New Junk City. But I just really want to see SPG playing together just a little bit better.
It's the difference in the speed boost, right? Like, what Dreamers are doing time and time again is controlling the fight in terms of its speed. When do Dreamers want to come in? Whereas at SPG, they kind of have to be more reactive to what is going on. And whereas Dreamers, they're just proactive. They're like, okay, what are we doing? We're going to do it, and we're going to make it work. And it does. Like, Top Dragon, I'd love to see the stats, but it has to be at least 80% of the first kills are because of Top Dragons on the Genji. So this needs to come now into SPG's favor if they want to play the slower, more thought out fights. I'm not saying Dreamers aren't thought out, like it clearly is very communicative. But SPG, they need to be able to get those picks. There's just something that's not happening because of said groupings. And Savasa, there you go. Maybe Milgaru will bring out the ball again because of this. However, not to say that Orisa, or maybe they might match the Zarya that we've been seeing time and time again from a wonderful Jasmine.
I think this makes sense. I think for what SPG have been wanting to run, Savasa is just the map that makes a little bit more sense, you know. It definitely feels like a little bit more open for Wrecking Ball to go around and take people down. There's a lot of open points. I mean, Garden, Palace, even just the first point of market is fairly open and available for Wrecking Ball to roll around. So I think it is a really good pick for SPG.
It is, but then again, like Dreamers, maybe they'll lose an objective, but we might see exactly what happened on Busan yet again. And it's like, oh, okay, that's how you want to play it, do you? It cracks knuckles, changes a couple of heroes around, and this is where SPG really need to prove their adaptability, because it seems like as soon as Dreamers answer one of their trump cards that SPG might have, they don't have any more to fall back on. So Milgaru, we were guessing it, weren't we, Apara? They want to play the ball. Fair enough too, one of their best heroes and one they're most known for, really, as we will be rolling out for potentially the final map of this matchup.
And look at that, Dreamers moving just like such a solid unit. Milgaru notice where they're going, so at least SPG know where Dreamers are approaching, can try and formulate a plan to take it down. It's going to be sad going right into Assault Form. Does get pile drive, but Top Dragon right in your face, deflecting. Aid doesn't care, just going to ignore the Genji right behind you and hope to not fall, but Jasmine manages to take them down. Lee Soo-min and Wu-Chan follow, and Dreamers quite definitely are going to take our first point capture.
Oh man, there you go again. Top Dragon first to get a kill. You cannot answer a bubble Top Dragon at the moment from SPG. You've got Although on the Tracer that did get a lot of damage and picks in the backline, but it's something that you can just, you can't completely ignore, of course, but Top Dragon, you just simply cannot ignore at all. But Although is doing a little bit less damage, so because of that, you can focus more prominently on the Bastion or on Although themselves, as they are the first to be taken out.
Sad is taken down though. Aid is soon to follow, and SPG once again are just gonna have to rethink their approach. Wu-Chan is gonna take Top Dragon down last second, but yeah, SPG, they're really struggling to break apart all of Dreamers.
This is where you start questioning, as SPG, do you bother trying to touch this next point at 70%? You do have the time. You're also starting to collect a little bit more resources in terms of ultimates as well. Wu-Chan with a Kitsune rush nearly on board, but it will be, although with the pulse bomb to perhaps open this up, but Data always has the sound barrier to fall back on the Dreamers.
Dreamers are chasing down the competition, but it's Top Dragon actually falling whilst they were using their blade. Point gets flipped to SPG from behind, and Dreamers wanted to chase down SPG, and maybe that was their grave mistake right there. Sad caught out in the artillery strike, and SPG actually have point now.
And Dreamers used grab and blade there, Abara. That is really big. And sound barrier, and still lost. That is rotten for them, but incredible for SPG. You would be so happy. The only thing you've got as Dreamers now is the artillery strike to perhaps take this. SPG, though, they've got that minefield from Milgaru and Wu-Chan. I mean, need I say more with a Kitsune rush? As Dreamers, they're pretty desperate this fight, to be honest.
Rushing right onto point. Milgaru getting burnt down, but that Kitsune rush is a little bit scary for Dreamers, hoping not to get caught out, and his Top Dragon pile driving into the ground, completely flattened. Jasmine taken out with a punch. Aid taking down two, and that's SPG actually capturing our first point of market.
That was really well played there, Wu-Chan. They only had to use the Kitsune rush to be able to take it. Milgaru being a nuisance in the back just allowed for Aid to do what Bastion does best, and that's just burn them down. Now, this next one, this is really close actually to both the spawn and the previous objectives, so it will be a relatively dry fight from either side. However, Milgaru, you can see, looking for those mines.
Those mines could zone out point. So could this artillery strike. Really just depends on where they want to put it. Artillery strike just making it a little bit harder now for SPG to enter in onto Dreamers, and same with the artillery strike from SPG, forcing Dreamers back a little bit, giving SPG some space to finally enter in a little bit closer to point. Milgaru hoping to harass these supports, and the pulse bomb takes missing out. Now followed down by Data going out, and SPG get this point.
That was really well played there from SPG, but they did have to use quite a number of ults to get that point, and it was the pulse bomb that ultimately turned it around. Dreamers now, they're switching around just a little bit. Data, though, still has that sound barrier to come into this next fight. But SPG doing a Dreamers, they're going forward really hard here.
Don't even let Dreamers approach onto point, and this open alleyway makes it so hard for a team to gather together, and Aid showed us why. You can just burn down an alley and take everyone out.
What did we say about Flashpoint? I wish we could just like rewind the clip. Wow, teams, have you found that a lot of them managed to start their reverse sweeps on Flashpoint? SPG are like, hell yeah, brother. And watch me as this is their final fight.
Kitsune Rush came out, Top Dragon's blade as well, but getting caught in a grab. Aid taken down. It's a little bit even, a little bit messy. SPG hoping to be able to finish off these last few players of Dreamers, and actually it's just going to be Jasmine trying desperately to survive. Top Dragon causing a little bit of harassment as well. Although, they've actually decided, SPG, let's give them the point and take a fight later.
Yeah, once Wu Chan fell, you have no healing there, and it's just a matter of time. And at that point, you're already at 99% for SPG. You only need to take one more good fight off of Dreamers. And Dreamers used a lot of ults that 1-2 just to take that objective. As Milgari, they're already back in your backline.
Garu's got that minefield as well. Pulse bomb from Although, and actually the back cap, all of a sudden, who's going to be touching now from Dreamers? They completely gave up the point there, Pat.
Yeah, they were like, you know what, I want to take out SPG, but they might actually get taken out themselves here, Dreamers. It's very back and forth here, but ultimately Milgaru will be the one to finish off Dreamers, and SPG, they're going to get the first cap of this maybe last objective for SPG. They're starting something here.
Pat, this is twice now Dreamers have decided to just run after someone, give up point, and lose it because of that. I don't love the strategy Dreamers are bringing out. I love this artillery strike, though. It could be quite big, managing to put a lot of pain onto Sad, managed to survive, though. Amplification Matrix lined up together, but it's Jasmine all on the board this time, and Dreamers will get the first cap here. Can they hold on to it this time?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, as long as they don't get too excited and try and go for someone like Aid right in the backline and allow Although and Milgaru, those two together have been absolutely chaotic. Especially for someone like Misson, who's just trying to survive, just trying to heal, but very hard when you get booped around. And speaking of boops, we have the minefield from Milgaru, who's looking to line up, especially Sad there. But Dreamers, they're actually really good with their ultimates this time around. They still have 3 coming up to 4 with Jasmine's grabs. So, what are you thinking?
Blade, not going to be saved. Lee Soo-min falling. Immortality's not going to work out. There's 2 supports gone and Aid finished off. That is just one push completely shut down, and a minefield gone too.
And I think the point as well, really, I think realistically for SPG, I would not take this. However, Dreamers doing what Dreamers do best and kind of going a little bit too far forward. It actually could be possible for Milgaru to touch, of course, if they want to, which okay, they do.
I think that's what this comp specializes in, is getting those touches and potentially trying to come through for the stall. This artillery strike now forced out, and a grab as well thrown to the mix here. Lee Soo-min falling low, managing to bounce out, and Jasmine and Sad Bull missing, taken out as well, and that's what this comp specializes in, those last minute displacements and touches to get point back.
It's almost like Dreamers, they were a bit too split up. They didn't really think that they wanted to go in as hard as SPG ended up doing. And Dreamers, they actually were, I want to say forced, but almost baited from SPG to use that many ultimates. They used Grav and Artillery Strike and also Beat from Data to keep everybody alive there too. So now they're missing a lot of ults, except for Misson.
Artillery strike taken out, Misson. They got the amplification matrix off in time. Top Dragon now right in Aid's face, with the help of Jasmine managed to take them down. Sad does follow, however, so no bastions for either team. And with Top Dragon taken down, this could be it for Dreamers here. They're going to have to go on to something fast or come up with a really big play to be able to get a touch. I think SPG might be taking our Flashpoint here, Pat.
I'd say so. Data's back alive, though. Has a good maybe 7 seconds to be able to touch. But yeah, you're not SPG. You don't have Milgaru there. And Lee Soo-min does have the window to use if they need to. They don't. SPG take. It's actually possible. Dreamers lost the map. I don't believe it.
Yeah. That's the big thing, I guess, is Dreamers have now lost a map. Their armor does not look as strong as everyone sort of predicted here. And also, I just feel there were some really strange decisions from Dreamers. I did not love both times they chased people down and just allowed the backcap to happen. A backcap on Flashpoint is so devastating, Pat.
Also Dreamers, I said it a lot, they used really big ult and still lost fights. And these fights were always pivotal to a point where Dreamers didn't even get one single objective in Flashpoint. SPG, they managed to work their way around everything that Dreamers were able to throw at them. Okay, there was some grabs. That bit, I don't think a single grab really picked up anything major. We'll see if SPG can keep this bullet train rolling, as we will be moving into push right after this break.
SPG have their sights set on the reverse sweep. The question now becomes, can they make it happen, or will Dreamers find an opportunity to shut them down? Pap, we're moving into push. What do you think Dreamers want to do to be able to make SPG a little bit uncomfortable on their reverse sweep dream?
Well, what you could look at is you could look at Kings Row. Like Kings Row, they played a pretty brawly comp on attack, not on defense. That was very pokey, I will admit. But this is whatever it will be, especially if they pick someone like Colosseo, because it is, of course, Dreamer's pick now, as SPG did take that last map there. If they do pick up something like Colosseo, that's where it is that sort of long hallway-esque wow, okay, there you go. Colosseo it is. That's where it is, that long hallway. You can get a bit of poke, but that's where you can get that Lucio rush that we've been seeing a lot, of course, with Dada and Jasmine. And on top of that as well, Top Dragon going back on over to that Genji too will make it tougher for SPG. But now that SPG have at least got something rolling here, not even allowing Dreamers to get a single objective capture, it's going to be a little bit tougher, but the ball is back in Dreamers' court. Can they return it with speed?
I think of all the map choices, this probably does make the most sense. Like, Colosseo definitely makes it quite a bit harder for a Wrecking Ball to have fun. Whereas, you know, New Queen Street and... man, how's it leave Esperanza? The one we see the most. How am I forgetting about it? But yeah.
True.
They both are quite a bit more open for
hear me out. We've not just seen one of the... I think we've only seen it once, Kings Row today, but we're also seeing Colosseo, which we also don't see very often either. A lot of teams, they usually go onto Esperanza where they can be a little bit more divey or at least a little bit more flanky, whereas Colosseo makes it a lot harder for flanks because those windows, they have glass in them, so you can't really poke too easily. So it really will be about Jasmine and the bubble management, and then Milgaru just simply, I know this sounds a bit cliche, but just simply staying alive in amongst all the damage. Although actually sticking over still on the sim, I guess you definitely want to be teleporting behind Dreamers, making it as confusing as possible to who to bubble.
Top Dragon once again looking for a way to enter into this fight. Those turrets making it a little bit scarier, all those TP as well. Right into Dreamers and Aid, putting in a lot of pressure. Data falls because of it. Jasmine, however, taking down Lee Soo-min and Sand, finding their Bastion counterpart. Now tank counterpart gone down. Milgaru out of this fight. Jasmine hoping to clean up these last few and get bot in their control early on.
That's exactly what Dreamers had to do against SPG, is not to be afraid of the teleporter and start actually attacking SPG as quickly as possible, because if you were to retreat for too long, that's where Aid can pick you off. And although building up the Stim Beam as quickly as possible there, Dreamers now in control of Philip the bot, as Top Dragon and Sad trying to get their ultimates up for this next engagement here.
Dragon helping Sad take down Aid. Now going to try and find Milgaru, but actually opting to go for the supports. Lee Soo-min falling missing, followed up as well, and Milgaru does get taken down though, so SPG may have taken out two, but Dreamers still win that fight.
Dreamers win that fight, but losing two will hurt them in the next attack. SPG, they will be speeding back with Wu Chan. It will be a 3v5, unless Data, of course, goes all the way back. But Top Dragon with a blade, maybe wanting to go for the 2v5, but no. Dreamers quite rightly just backing up. They do have a lot of ultimates, though, to use in this next fight. But so do SPG here. They have that photon barrier, which will negate so much of the damage, whatever's thrown at them. And Wu Chan needs to build up this down barrier, which they're very close to, especially with Jasmine's grab here.
Although, hoping to just find someone early, not wanting Top Dragon to enter in Photon Barrier to shut down that grab, but it's an artillery strike. It can go right behind your Photon Barrier and so can Top Dragon's blade. Top Dragon does get caught out by Wu Chan, however, Jasmine has to take a bit of time to get some health back. Sound Barrier is going to keep Jasmine alive. Javelin to push them away, and now a Terror Surge to try catch someone out. Sad falling so low, Milgaru taking them down, but falling themselves as well. Aid hoping to hurt Jasmine right where it hurts, and it's going to be Aid actually finishing them off. Jasmine now no longer in this fight, and SPG really wanting to be able to take control here. Top Dragon's back though, so could bring a lot of damage, especially through the amplification matrix. Aid trying to flank around, avoid the window that could cause so much pain, and SPG do get bot in control.
Yeah, now that Data has gone, they do have to back up because they cannot speed boost around the Bastion, making it hard for Aid to land shots. So you got to use that natural cover for at least a little while, but Top Dragon right back into it, not allowing them to take the lead.
Garu wanting to TP with everyone else. Javelin right onto Sad. Sad manages to get some heals though and actually take down Aid. Top Dragon now taking out Although, and Dreamers are right back in this fight, but bot back in their control.
I have to say that's SPG just pulled a Dreamers from Flashpoint. They got a bit too excited, pushed a little bit too far forward, and Dreamers, they took advantage of that. Got the one straggler that was off to the side there. And this is where Top Dragon now can be really dangerous, especially Sad with that artillery strike. But it's actually Aid do the first one.
It's not really leading to too much. Milgaru getting caught out really uncomfortably, and Sad taking down 2, although tries to get some value in this fight, but it just means nothing. Dreamers on a complete roll.
Man, SPG, that was a fight you had to win, because now I dare say Philip might make it to the first capture point here before SPG can be able to touch, because Milgaru is no longer on that ball. They're no longer on the super fast comp, unless Wu-Chan wants to somehow speed boost, but they are TPing it for the top round.
I mean, these TPs are so scary, and Sad felt it for sure. Top Dragon's Blade, though, is going to turn the tides back to Dreamer's favor, taking down 4!
That was, I think, his second 4K from Top Dragon here, and that will allow Philip to go so much further this time round. However, Dreamers, I mean, look at their ults. They're completely depleted to be able to win that fight there, although actually switching over to the Mei to try and wall off Jasmine from Top Dragon, making it a little bit harder, but it will be the TP, but Aid's first to fall.
Though, Cryo Freeze just to survive. Milgaru's got that Terror Surge if they want to punish Top Dragon for all the hard work they've done, but it's going to be 3 coordinate getting around the corner though, and charged up a little bit too long. All of Dreamers got out, and Top Dragon actually managed to find, although no more Mei, no more slow to affect Dreamers. Milgaru's taken down, but Top Dragon and Missing are gone now from Dreamers as well, so Jasmine all of a sudden has to put in a lot of work to try and keep the fight alive, and it's just not going to be there as SPG grit through it and get the bot back.
Yeah, well, that was really well played. Aid had the bigger beam there somehow, even though Jasmine, I think, got to 100 charge, especially after that Terror Surge too, but Milgaru, they're doing well, but you can tell they're struggling a little bit against Jasmine. It is hard to block where you can't literally block the beam at all, and you're really reliant on Lee Sung-min to get that to keep you alive there, and they, although might be getting Top Dragon really early there, didn't have the dash to get out, and that's a big opening for SPG to get something for Philip to go forward.
Oh man, although just put in so much work, caught Top Dragon out, and now look how far SPG have gone.
SPG are doing what they do best, and that's take a lot of space very quickly, and they need it, right? They need as much space as possible, because there'll be at least one more fight, and Dreamers, until they get to the first point, should I say, and Dreamers, they have a lot of ultimates to expend. How are they going to expend them? You have the grab, and you have Top Dragon's Blade again. Oh, you got Blizzard, don't you? You got Blizzard, Abara. You have Blizzard. You can shut it down.
There is a Blizzard from SPG. You could certainly shut down some of these ults here. Jasmine's grabbed from behind. It's in a really uncomfortable position. Artillery strike not finding much, unfortunately, for Dreamers here, but the Blade is going to find Aid. Now going to take out Lee Soo-min, and you know what? 3 ultimates. At least one of them worked out.
One of these will work, they said to themselves. I mean, they did have to fight through a sound barrier from Wu-Chan, and you know, you might say, oh, that wasn't a great sound barrier, they still died, but as Apara said, Dreamers, they had to expend almost every single one of their ultimates just to get a semi-clean fight. It really wasn't that clean. Missing the only one now from Dreamers to get just retain their ultimate. Milgaru, though, they're coming up with their Terror Surge. Can it be more successful than the last one? Maybe not with Sad, my goodness.
3 down, that was so quick. That was just the quickest executions from Dreamers.
Here, Apara, you play by play. No, it's my turn again. That was so fast. Already Top Dragon was just in their backline, removing SPG from the video game, and very quickly, we're now down to 1 minute and 45 seconds. SPG, they want to get that high ground as quickly as possible with that TP, but Dreamers, this time, they're going to kind of respect it. This time fighting from the bridge.
Still an amplification matrix to scare Dreamers away. The rotation was smart, but didn't quite work out how they wanted it. Sad now completely chased down by Milgaru. Missing, caught in a room. You don't want to be stuck in a room with the Orisa. That is just a scary robot to be stuck with. And yeah, Dreamers recognize this. They fall back.
Yeah. Jasmine and Dada like just noping right out of there, but they will get front spawns. That is really important because that will make SPGs not I dare say last push here, Aparo, last proper push unless Milgaru goes over to the ball. We are at 56 seconds remaining here, and Jasmine close to grab. Top Dragon building 1-2, and we saw what happened last time. Can SPG do anything different? Wu-Chan getting close to that sound barrier.
Terra Surge. Is it going to catch anyone out? Sad is the one to get caught out. Milgaru finishing off Missin as well. That is a great start for SPG's potential final fight. But this bot, Philip, he's going somewhere else here. Top Dragon said, hey, I'm going to just borrow this for a bit. I'm going to borrow this. I'm going to take out Wu-Chan. Top Dragon, no! You're not going to do this. Aid finishing them off.
Like, okay, they got Philip back, but that was front spawns for Dreamers. That also means that Dado and Top Dragon, they'll get back into the fight super far. It just kind of feels like deja vu, which should not happen for SPG. You feel so down right now. At least you have Sound Barrier. You also have that Blizzard again, but it's an artillery strike to start us off.
Amplification Matrix, Photon Barrier going to make the Amplification Matrix not get too much. Sound Barrier now for the Dragon Blade. Dragon Blade struggling to go in, especially when a Blizzard is just pushing you away. And we've got a Javelin and bot back now in SPG's control.
Yeah, Dreamers, quite rightly, they lost a pick. They're backing up, I was about to say a little bit, but Top Dragon going in, getting a little bit of charge for Jasmine more than anything. How did Missin get that pick? Lee Song, you cannot fall right now.
What an opening pick for Dreamers as well. Milgaru falling so low without a Baptiste to keep them alive. Abe wanting to stay alive too, but Jazz was there to protect anyone. SPG full. Dreamers win our series, go 3-1 and confirm the #1 seed for playoffs.
Well done, Dreamers. SPG, they put up a really, really good fight, but unfortunately Push just was not their map. And Dreamers, as strong as ever, and they're not even done yet, Apara. We will see them tomorrow to see if they can go the complete sweep of their group. However, they have actually had a map taken off them. SPG, they played remarkably well, but Dreamers in the end were just too much for them.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Dreamers taking that 3-1. I'm fairly certain that now puts them up just maths-wise to a point where nobody can take it, even if J&GK win 3. I may be wrong. You know what? If J&GK win 3-0, Dreamers might drop down to the second seed. If my math serves me wrong, that might be the case, but I'm fairly certain Dreamers have put themselves into a very strong position, and I'm fairly sure.
Yeah, well, Dreamers already. Unless J&GK are able to beat Dreamers, which is tomorrow's match, which is another really exciting one coming up. It will be hard, but what also went super hard was Jasmine on the tank. Whether they were Sigma, mostly Zarya though, they absolutely popped off.
Yeah, Jasmine was such a solid tank on pretty much every role they played. It was just Zara and Sigma, but especially the Sigma. I feel like Jasmine shined on the Sigma. The Zara was a little bit more sloppy, but still worked out well enough that, you know, there were certainly times where Jasmine just popped off with grabs, and the combinations of grab and artillery strike, that sort of thing, were just phenomenal.
I think something also to keep in mind is that Jasmine consistently had very high charge, and I'd say in any lobby of Overwatch, it can be hard to get a charge and retain it, but you got to give at least a little bit of credit to Top Dragon. I wouldn't say feeding, it'd be like tactically feeding their brains out, getting those picks, but also just getting shot at so often that whenever you did bubble Top Dragon, you could almost guarantee a full 40 charge no matter what, and that's how you can burn down the Orisa's health bar. That's how you burn down the rest of SPGs. So, no, congratulations to Jasmine, and of course an extended congratulations to Dreamers, as they are looking for their next matchup now, which will be J&GK tomorrow. But that's it for SPG. They will remain in the top at least, but we will not see them again.
Yeah, no,
this round. I really should mention, I should stress this round. No, they're gone. They're leaving. They're packing their bags. They're done.
Yeah, no. To clarify, that was SPG's last match in the round robins. We'll see them in the playoffs for sure.
Alright, we played
will
alright.
definitely see them
We're
in
done.
the playoffs. But yeah,
goodness.
that was such an intense matchup. Simpressa was able to break down Dreamers and take a map from them. Of course, next up, Pep, we do have Revival versus Pokerface, which once again, a very, very strong team coming into the ring.
I mean, I just say Poker Face, and they're another team that have also gone 3-0s across the board, just like Dreamers. But we will see this next match after this short break.
welcome back. After a short wee break, we are now here for our next match, Revival versus Poker Face, and this is going to be quite an uphill battle for Revival, I feel. Just on paper, Poker Face is very much the favored team here, and Revival, they're going to have to put in the work, especially because if they don't, they are out of contention for playoffs, essentially. This is their opportunity to claw back from the bottom of that board and try and get into playoffs.
It's tough. It's going to be so tough for Revival because they also... Poker Face is undefeated, just like we saw with Dreamers as well. And Revival have also struggled against teams that, well, one of them, like FM, for instance, okay, they took a map off FM, but they're out of the entire competition as well. This is Revival's last chance, and not seeing them beat FM, it does put into question, but we haven't seen them for a little while, so maybe they can, maybe they've practiced, looked into, I want to say looked at the patch notes, but they have been playing reasonably well with the Orisa, but it's hard. They have a lot of substitutions though, some we haven't even seen Apara, so maybe dicing it up a little bit, getting a little bit fun, because, you know, it's like, well, if you play really well, then you get in, but if you don't, then you're out, so you may as well just go, mate. Crazy strats, perhaps?
I mean, you've definitely got to throw everything on the table and hope something sticks at this point. And Revival, they're certainly looking for something to push them through. And when you're looking at a team like Poker Face, when you're looking at a Titan like that, who's, you know, done quite well in Overwatch League, like, standings and whatnot, it is a scary team. I mean, if we just look at Overwatch League, there was summer knockouts. Poker Face versus Dreamers. Poker Face won 3-1. So that just in of itself tells us that Poker Face is this behemoth team, and Revival, they're a little bit of a newcomer. They're sort of coming in here hoping to make a dent in Poker Face.
And as you can see, it will be a miracle Revival. It will be like Overwatch 1 Season 5 Mercy 6-man res kind of Revival to be shot into this team like a nano boost to get them over the line here. Is, yeah, Poker Face been around for a very long time. So, yeah, Revival coming into this one, it's tough. It is tough. But it'll be interesting with the map choices as well that Revival go. Are they going to try and see what Poker Face like to play, pick maps that don't go well with Poker Face's comps, but put them at a bit more of a risk, or they're going to go a bit more comfort picky with the maps, but maybe Poker Face will be just as comfortable as we see the starting lineup with Ruler on the tank. Windy and Hofak will be the DPS, and then keeping everybody alive will be Fiesta and Jinsung. So this is a starting lineup that you kind of expected to see from Revival.
Yeah, I'm pretty solid lineup for Revival. Certainly, they'll be searching for any Mercy mains out there to try keep them revived in this fight here. Now it's Poker Face, however, coming up against them, and look at this, just as I said, Titans, Pepe, Lego, Valentine and Proud, Simple. This is you're just looking at talent, like, all across the board. This is a scary team to go against. I've said it a lot of times, but that's because it's so true.
It is so true. They've been playing, each and every one of them have been in the pro scene for a very long time. They've had a taste of the Overwatch League, as we previously mentioned too. So they know what it's like to be with the greats. Whereas Revival, they're new to the being with the greats. I mean, Contenders is no small feat either. So even if you don't win this, you've still got a lot of experience to come away from it too. Looks good on a resume, what can I say? Speaking of this matchup, it will take place in Antarctic Peninsula, as it will be the admin's pick. We haven't seen it for a little while, I don't think, Opa, for you and I.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like maybe since last season. I don't think we've seen an Antarctic Peninsula yet, at least for our cast.
We have.
Did we see it last
first
week?
match of APAC, you and I'm pretty sure did Antarctic Peninsula. But anyway, yeah, because I talked about the wobbling penguin, something like that. Oh,
a little
man.
bit of goldfish memory from both of us there, but that's okay.
We'll get over the line together. I'll remember what.
Yeah.
How about this? I'll remember the first 3 seconds. You'll remember the next 3 seconds, and then we'll just keep rotating that way. Anyway, now to see which characters, which heroes both teams will select here. Pokerface. Okay, watching a little bit of Milgaru, I see Peppy, if we're going to go out on the Wrecking Ball, whereas Ruler, the very cut and dry Orisa comp, which will help to definitely shut down or dampen Peppy at least a little bit, especially with Windy going over to the Mei, and also a lot of damage from Hofak. So this is... this is like a very, very, very brawly comp coming from Revival as Pokerface. Very pokey now that Pepe's gone over... Oh, Peppy, sorry, has gone over to the...
Sigma makes sense, you know. Sigma's such a strong choice from Peppy there, so certainly is going to make it hard for Revival to try push in as aggressively as they're wanting to here. Ruler, you can see, just looking for an opening, looking for that opportunity, and struggling to even peek around the corner.
Took a while for Proud to get back onto the high ground, but now that they are, will make Revival's push that much harder as they are looking to rotate behind Pokerface.
Pokerface recognize this though. They're just going to go back once again, say, you come to us and you're going to struggle coming to us. Look at these TPs. They're like, wherever you go, we're just going to teleport away. Come here, please.
Nobody's fallen yet, but the most important thing is Pokerface. They do have the objective the entire time, so Revival taking this much time really just works in Pokerface's favor at the end of the day. However, because of all the damage, they do have Coalescence.
Oh, the accretion onto Jinsung! That went right over Ruler's face, but couldn't quite confirm any picks. No one could follow up just in time. Immortality to try and keep Peppy alive, and Valentine and Proud finding two, Revival falling, and man, such a long fight. Pokerface at 45% already.
Yeah, that coal did not get any value whatsoever. In fact, it got shut down so quickly that they're already at 50%, switched over to a more traditional comp, I would say. Now you're over on the Baptiste. You've got Windy now on the Genji. We saw an incredible Genji with Top Dragon just before. Can it be replicated from Revival here? But because of such long fights, Pokerface already at 70%.
The flux into an artillery strike! Ruler and Hofak didn't know what to do. Ruler wasn't even caught in it. They were just hoping to maybe protect Hofak, but that was just nasty, Pat.
Windy, the only one to survive. If they can get out, potentially touch last second, you do have a nearly 15 seconds to touch. You have time. Fiesta as well with the sound barrier if you really need it. But Valentine's going to make their push really, really hard. You've got the photon barrier to block pretty much all the damage you've put correctly. And Lego, not to be counted out with their sound barrier either.
Ruler was falling low, but manages to survive thanks to that sound barrier. Windy, though, isn't going to survive. Completely devastated, so much damage, and using that photon barrier, Valentine was able to just walk up to Hofak. Lego doing a wee little dance party there, and Pokerface are looking very convincing right now, Pat.
Yeah, 100-0 is pretty brutal, but Revival, they've had a look at what Pokerface like to play. They tried to match it, but perhaps, you know, it was a bit of a late switch, right? We had Orisa for most of it. They had to switch off nearly having Terror Surge. You're also halfway to a lot of other ultimates as well, but that was completely lost. As that was incredible to shut down the Coalescence immediately, alongside a Flux as well to boot with an artillery strike. And man, Revival going up against those kind of comms together, it's tough. But Revival, hey, hang on, it's kind of... They're doing it again. They're going at it again with the Reaper Mei strategy. Didn't work too well the first time, but I guess this is a little bit more up close and personal sort of map here. But Pokerface immediately getting the high ground away from Revival.
Listen, if you hit your head against a brick wall enough times, it'll probably break. That's, I guess, Revival's choice here at the moment.
Yeah.
Deciding to try and take this comp again.
You do you, Revival, but Rule is super stuck, cannot get TP'd away. And look at the poke, forced to use every single cooldown. So that will just buy Pokerface so much time to cap the points and also get really good defensive positions here as Pepe constantly putting damage down.
Now it's just once again, how are Revival going to approach Pokerface when Pokerface just play the distance? They don't let you get up close like Revival want, and Rule is finding it so hard to just get into any point to take a fight, and then the rest of Revival get caught out alone, and Pokerface just crush it.
I mean, let's break down really, as Pokerface is just running Revival down, let's break down what Revival are trying to do. Revival, they're really playing around Windy's Maywall. They're going to try and get Pepe alone, burst them down with Ruler that was on Orisa before, and then Hofak. That will give Hofak time to get really close, but quite simply, Pokerface are just not allowing that to happen. The Maywalls haven't really gone up very well. Hofak can't even approach. I mean, how long has gone? 50, almost 60 seconds. Hofak falls, 34% remaining. It is just brutal.
This is so hard for Revival. They're being completely snowed under at this rate, you know? Like, they just are struggling to come up with anything because Pokerface are just so strong.
The Revival, I mean, you had the speed boost. That's what you're hoping for, right? For these Maywalls, for the rushdown comp. But it's simply not working when you have the Accretion, when you have Proud on Bastion just burning you down. Now Revival doing what they did last map, complete switch arounds, really, with Ruler now gone over to the Tsar, which I think is a better pick as the sound barrier does go.
Artillery strike and a gravitic flux, and Windy's going to be taken out. During it, Ruler falling low, Valentine cleaning up these couple of picks here, and now with 96 seconds left, Revival have to touch his Fiesta to do it, but Pokerface just don't even care. This is much more convincing than anything we've really seen in a while, Pap.
It is. It's a hard watch. Like Revival, they're trying comps that we haven't seen all too much, and I don't want to be too mean, but there's a reason we haven't been seeing a lot of those really brawly comps so far. We've been seeing a lot more of those poke, where it's like, okay, if you want to play brawl, this is why you don't, because you're getting poked so much. You can see Orisa using a lot of those cooldowns before even touching the point, so that burns off more time ultimately. And Revival, they're going to have to really switch things up. It's their map pick, and we'll see what it is right after this break.
Poker Face are looking in charge, and Revival are certainly needing to up their game, try and, overclock their systems, find that 110, 120% power to try and take down I've said it a couple of times now, but absolute titans that are Poker Face.
It's it is brutal. I mean, Revival, they're trying something different, something that we haven't seen very much before, and just unfortunately it is not working for them. And then they switch it up about 60-70%. Then they lose all those ultimates that worked really, really hard to build up. So it is Revival's map pick, as I said before we went over to the break, and going Midtown is rough. I was saying before we went into Antarctic Peninsula, like maybe it's worth taking a risk going into somewhere where Poker Face maybe haven't scrimmed very much in this new meta, but I mean, Midtown is the map of the season. If there ever is one, it is Midtown. So taking them to something that's like Poker Face have played most of their games there, they know the ins and outs of the train system, sure. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it is the map of the season, it's probably the one that Revival have the most experience and practice on. I feel like you'd probably take them somewhere else if you're more comfortable on a map, but maybe they are just most comfortable on Midtown, and that's why they picked it.
It's their comfort pick. Yeah, but the thing, I dare say it's also Poker Face's comfort pick, as Poker Face going the tried and true strategy. Proud though, a little bit different on to the Widowmaker for a pick, but Revival as always trying something different. Here's a couple of subs though. Karawu in for Lego instead. The Baptiste specialist, I presume, but it will be Revival to start off with Ruler at least onto the Reinhardt. There's going to be no teleport strategies, however, so you're really relying on fear. And no, never mind, I was about to say. Hofak immediately going over to the Zarya. A bit of wholesale switches before we leave spawn here, as Ruler does also switch over to the Zarya. But again, it is okay, Ruler, that's just mean. Back to the Reinhardt they go. But we did see this from FM, and it worked a couple of times, and I dare say it might work again with... That's an interesting strategy, I love that.
Maywall onto the train, trying to just collapse on top of Poker Face, and I mean, if they did fall, that could be enough for Revival to start entering, but Johnson taken down, your heals just aren't quite there. Valentine now hoping to finish Windy off or just get any sort of value out of these sticky bombs that so far Revival look like they've bunkered themselves nice and neatly in the laundry, man.
They're waiting for their teammate, but that also allows for Pepe to come back themselves on the Orisa this time round to really shut down the Reinhardt push. And Valentine constantly building up that duplicate, poking away as Revival finally ready to get into their next spot where the May Wall, as they'll be now waiting into this house for their next couple of cooldowns to be active, as Poker Face very ready for them to come out.
Yeah, you can see it's just waiting, hoping to catch someone out off guard, and Revival nearly caught out Karu, but Karu was able to jump over. Now it's so slow. It feels so slow from Revival, and they need to be rushing on to people a little bit quicker, like what they did with Pepe at the start. Completely take over the competition, but with the slowness, Poker Face can kind of just get back together.
They nearly walled off Karu and then got the TP onto them as well, but that was little to no avail too, and Windy was completely caught out there. But Revival now getting a couple of ultimates to their names. Both support are now ready to go as they're looking for the next TP.
And Matrix to come out, but a captive sun right on top of all of you. Can Simple make dividends out of it? Currently not quite getting any picks for themselves, but Proud and Karu is going to do it. Ruler now trying to charge through, and Simple is not going to let them take out Simple there. That is Poker Face still holding strong.
And as you said, they're slow pushes, right? They have to be when you are playing the Reinhardt. You can't just send it down main, otherwise you're just going to get poked down every time. So, while it's definitely a fun and I'd say unique comp. It is a slow one. Only 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining here, and because they are so slow, they're going to take the train this time around to just give themselves perhaps another fight if this one doesn't quite work out.
On to behind, trying to take out Karu, and they do fall inside the Blizzard. Baptiste now gone, Photon Barrier as well to help sustain themselves a little bit, hide behind the wall to block a lot of that damage. Pepe though, throwing the Terror Surge out, hoping to take a couple of players down, and Proud finds Fiesta with the overclock, hoping to turn this fight back into Pokerface's favor. Valentine and Proud doing work, and once again, just keeping this point in control.
That was a tick though. Tick for Revival. 50 seconds remaining. If they do another semi-fast fight, TP to the point like they did last time, they will be able to get a full team touch. But I mean, they have a Shatter Revival. Nothing really for Pokerface except for a duplicate from Valentine going perhaps onto Ruler to build up a Shatter of their own. But this is it. Can Revival do it?
TP did not go where they wanted it to, right on top of the taxi. That's going to slow down this approach so much, and yeah, they just opt to wait it out.
If they can't afford to, as far as 10 seconds remaining here, and there's the something?
Matrix.
I got it.
And Matrix to tease it out. Oh, my God, got caught from behind. Revival have to put in blood, sweat, and tears to try and make this one epic water by the Shatter. Ruler, I'm so sorry. The duplicated Valentine. Revival really wanted that to work.
The fact that Pepe could just stand still like that as they got shattered and not move and go, all right, what's your next move? What are you going to do now? Nothing. That was kind of all I had. That was a power move if I've ever seen one. They got a tick, so they got some sort of win condition here, but it's definitely going to be tough.
Yeah. It just feels like this is a mountain. Pokerface are this gigantic mountain that they have to try and make a move. And this was a way to make a move temporarily, but ultimately, they moved an inch, but not entirely. And that is what Pokerface just managed to do, hold steadfast.
Yeah, some teams can take an inch and it ends up being a mile, but you take an inch for a Revival and then Pokerface ends up taking the mile off you. So you end up like 1 step forward, but about 4 steps backwards. However, Revival going into their defense, they're going to bring out the Torbjorn. Don't see that too much in Korean contenders, but see it quite often in APAC taking the hallway strategy. But if what I'm seeing is to be believed, seems like Valentine, they want to do exactly what Hofak did on the Revival's attack. Can Revival push back their own sort of team comp?
Yeah, just missing the Reinhardt ultimately at this point, and it's interesting that they're not wanting to go Reinhardt and just say, hey, this is how you do it. I guess Pepe just wants to stick to the tried and true at this point, take some quick games and go home, have dinner maybe.
Oh, Proud onto the Bastion as well. So they're not looking for that May wall either. They're all going to take hallway this time as they'll be looking to rotate into the house, get their cooldowns, and then first speed. Unless they're going main now? Fire truck perhaps? They're mixing Revival up as I'm mixing me up as they are going to take the house just from a different angle. Oh, Windy
got caught out. You've got to always keep him guessing, and Windy didn't get the answer correct there. Taken out first, now pointers for Pokerface. They don't need much to get the fight win. Proud is taken down though, but Jinsung follows. The moment Pokerface just looking like they had full control of Point Fiesta, hoping to stall, but this point ticks over and Midtown goes to Pokerface. We are going through these maps quickly, Pap, which is a little bit concerning for Revival.
Yeah, Windy just did not blow in the right direction there, got completely caught out. In fact, the winds are well and truly in Pokerface's favor. I mean, if you're a sailor, you're just in absolutely no wind whatsoever, whereas Pokerface, they've got the Spinnaker out. They're flying downwind in 20 knots, and it's rough to see that Revival cannot even get their main soul up. They cannot get started. They got at least a tick, I suppose, but immediately the winds completely left their sails, and going into this last one now, it is Flashpoint, Apara. It is the map that can possibly turn things around. It's what we saw with SPG versus Dreamers, but it perhaps Revival can do the same. Let's see after this break.
Poker Face have set themselves up quite nicely for the 3-0, but we're moving into Flashpoint now, and I think Revival have been revving their engines and now hoping to enter into first gear would be preferable, or even start just going 100 kilometers per hour, 100 miles per hour, if you're just whatever speed you want.
Just some speed, please. Just go. Yeah. We need some forward momentum here, Revival, and perhaps Flashpoint will be the one to give it. I mean, we saw SPG take a map, and not just the map, but super convincingly as well with a 3-0. However, it does feel like Dreamers, they're really ones to take those risks, and sometimes it works, and in Flashpoint it really didn't. Whereas Poker Face, they seem more like, you know, streamlined down the line. Yeah. This is what we play, this is how we play it. We do have a couple of subs, but more importantly, at least right now, is what map. They've picked New Junk City here, Revival, so instead of the ball comp that we saw from Ilgaru that worked really well, instead we're going to see a lot more of that brawl. We have been seeing a lot more brawl from Revival, a lot more Reinhardt and Orisa, so it's absolutely understandable that you would want to go to New Junk City here.
Absolutely. The brawl just kind of shines here, especially on a couple of points. Arena, Ducks, of course. Junkyard has been quite brawly, but also can work for the poke, so... But as you said, we do have some subs, and I think reading those subs from Poker Face, we can kind of get a concept of what they want to play.
Yeah, so Proud is out, Finale is in, Peppy is out, and Muse is in. Muse, a fantastic Zarya we've been seeing quite a bit of here. And then Kari was out, and Spinel is actually in too for Pokerface. Revival, despite having, I think, every sub that you could possibly have not switched anything out this entire time, and will be going in with what we've been seeing earlier. As yet, Muse back on that Zarya. Finale, incredible hit scan player, leading out with the, we don't actually see Cass very often, but leading out with the Cass to shut down, will be to shut down Windy. Obviously they don't know that they're running the Genji. Nope, never mind. They like to trick me. Pokerface going over to the tried and true. This is what really the meta has been all about. Both sides. The only difference is the BAP for Pokerface, whereas Revival going in for the kill a little bit more with Jinsung over onto the Kiriko.
Oh, Hofak down early. I was going to say Hofak has to put in a lot of work, but you can't when you're gone. Now Jinsung and Ruler just getting chased down. Valentine hoping to finish that off. Spinel comes to help, and man, Pokerface very strongly take early cap.
Yeah, it kind of felt like their mask just snapped into their boat there for Revival. There was no real fight, unfortunately, once you lost Hofak so quickly there as Finale just building up that railgun charge as much as possible. That's how you take out Hofak before, and they do it again as Revival looking for some way to break in.
Man, the doors are just closed at the moment. No entry into this arena. Revival managed to find a back door, try to go in, but Windy's getting chased down by Valentine, manages to survive for now, and Revival, they just need to start approaching, but the second they do, there's so much damage. Finale and Valentine just pump it out, and Revival don't know how to react, how to enter.
We were talking about Top Dragon's Genji a lot. Well, we cannot leave Valentine out of the picture here, but they do get taken out.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush, Ruler managed to speed onto Valentine, but Revival need to keep the speed up. They need to keep the tempo going. They can't let Muse just walk over Ruler here. The 100 charge is way too scary. Windy does manage to take down Simple here. Windy might be the hope Revival needed to turn it around. They just need to get that cap, and now Pokerface should fall back and regroup.
A little bit of life here for Revival. They need to get some ultimates and get them quickly. Sound barrier is up now, 98%, let's be honest. But why? Muse. Muse has grab, and Valentine as well has that blade. We've been seeing some incredible blades from Valentine. Finale, really with that overclock too. So Revival, big uphill battle coming.
Grab, a huge grab. That's 4 of Revival right there. Valentine now hoping to clean it up. Ruler taken down. There goes Jinsung, and that is going to be the point, flipping back to Pokerface, and first point will go the way of Pokerface.
I'm surprised Revival went a bit more proactive with their ultimates. They had Genji and Ruler, Windy and Ruler also with their ults, but Pokerface just a little bit quicker to press Q if you're on PC. Pokerface gonna get to the point a little bit quicker, build up that defensive positioning. Of course, Finale with the overclock for this first defense, but Revival, they're holding a couple more cards, but can they get in?
Revival just need to play the right cards at the right time, try to win this poker match versus Pokerface here, but Finale removing Hofak with the overclock once again. Just Revival not quite playing the hand. The Pokerface was too good, and Revival is sent back to spawn.
There's a little bit of a fight. Jinsung took it out. Finale.
Ruler's falling low though, Simple finishes them off. They had to actually use an amplification matrix just to confirm that fight.
And that whole time as well, it wasn't capped, so Revival have a little bit more time on their hands to get back for 2 fights if they end up dropping this first one. But they have some ultimates to take it. Windy, we haven't seen a blade from them just yet. Jinsung will help, I'm sure, with the Kitsune Rush, excuse me. Whereas Pokerface, they actually do not have anything to fight.
Blade? gonna try find anybody, but it's Hofek's disruption shot taking out Finale first. Everyone from Pokerface, though, they just ran away from the blade, tried to make sure that Windy didn't get too much value, willingly gave up that point cap to now try and come back and take the fight. The grab onto Fiesta, Fiesta is gone! Muse burning right on through them, and now with that lower speed, Pokerface can start to just take the tempo into their favor, start running over Revival, and that's exactly what they do. Valentine taking two, looking for a third and a fourth.
You can see how much more aggressive Valentine is allowed to be when they are bubbled, where Ruler, when they bubble Windy, more often than not, Windy's behind the tank, not being, they're not allowed to be as aggressive. So that allows Muse to get this 100 charge so consistently. This is final fight for the second objective here, and Pokerface, they're looking pretty good with the sound barrier. However, Ruler, if they can get a big grab here, could shut them out.
The goal right now. Ruler just looking to land this grab, turn it back to Revival, but so far they just need to start moving forward. There's the grab onto Bloodsupport blade from Valentine to respond, however, it's going to take Jinsung out. Ruler falls, Hofek's down, and that is Pokerface confirming our second point and putting themselves into match point at the moment.
Putting themselves in a really good state here. They're pretty close as well to the next objective, especially Revival losing Windy and Fiesta pretty late into that fight. Pokerface, they'll take this one quite easily, really, as Revival, they're going to have another upwards mountain battle, like we keep saying. Basically Mount Everest at this point, we've said it so often. And Fiesta, though, has the sound barrier to engage, perhaps, if they want Revival to go in pretty hard, but Pokerface with this poke, this amount of damage coming on in, at Revival, they can't find a back door this time round.
Yeah, it's just so hard to approach in. Grab now onto both support, sound barrier coming out, Amplification Matrix as well. Muse is taken down. All of a sudden, Revival starting to look good on this junkyard, might be able to turn the tides, unlike Arena and Bomb Flats here. Hofek has that overclock if needed, but Windy taken down. Pokerface might want to come back very quickly.
Yeah, now Pokerface, they're going to engage on this pretty hard. It wouldn't surprise me either if we see an overclock perhaps from Finale to try and make this fight a final one. There's Hofek to pressure it first, and it's simple to go.
Yeah, that overclock came out from Hofek instead of Finale, and with simple down, Pokerface really should just regroup, you know, draw some more cards and see what they can do.
See if the next card placed down works a little bit better for their royal flush that they're about to get, as Finale obviously managed to get their overclock up and running, but Revival Windy is played.
Oh, the overclock finding Hofek. Simple does get taken down by their blade, like you said, Windy, trying to keep the fight alive for Revival, and Ruler actually helps out, but Fiesta! And right in the face, Ruler left alone, and that point will go back to Pokerface for now.
This is the best that Revival have looked, though, as it will tick over with 95%, only 5% to be able to take it here. So for Revival, you see you do see a win condition for this objective, as Pokerface, though, they're building up to some seriously big ones. You got Valentine, how great have their blades been so far, but Ruler, honestly, their grabs have been really good this match. If they could shut down Valentine and shut down Muse, this objective could be theirs, but with Spinel, it's going to be tough with that sound barrier.
Hofek trying to go on a wee angle, find someone to try and take the junkyard back at this point, but it's just hard to find anyone. Everyone's hiding. Valentine's blade, however, finds Hofek, disrupt the shot to force the blade away, not let you enter, and Valentine struggles with it. However, meanwhile, Muse just doing all the work, taking down 4, getting point in Pokerface's favor, and probably taking map with that.
Unless they do a ball play, or hang on, Ruler's actually gone over to the Doomfist. It's touchable, 5% remaining, but when you get a pick like that, I don't think anyone is touching. And that is Pokerface with a royal flush, sending Revival all the way down the pits, as it's not going to work out. Pokerface just too strong.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately for Revival, that is them now out of playoffs contention, I believe. There's no real chance for them to come back as they have been 3-0 twice and 3-1 once. So there is just no more hope, as they do still have one match against Panthera, but there's no real way for them to claw back out at this rate. Pokerface pretty happy with that, putting themselves nice and confidently up the top of the board here in their grouping. And our player of the match, Pepe, solid tank, super good and consistent. And honestly, we talked about a mountain. Pepe was a big part of why that mountain was unmovable. You know, their fortifiers, as we saw, their Sigma plays, they were just a phenomenal tank. Sure, we didn't get to see them as Muse came in at the end there, but Pepe, the first two series were the reason this mountain could not move.
Yeah, as you said, to keep going with that mountain, they really were base camp Pepe. It was like their team compositions were built off what Pepe put down. If it was Orisa, if it was Sigma, it worked out an absolute treat, shutting down ultimates consistently, allowing for the DPS to go even higher on top of that mountain to get those picks. And yeah, it was always going to be very, very tricky for Revival, but they do have good players on their side, and I'm excited to see what they're up for if they ever come back. And I mean, like I said earlier, getting to Contenders is very good going.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all these players put in a lot of work, and there were some shining moments where they started to look good. I think they just did ultimately need to give up that slower comp. But for now, we're going to be jumping onto a quick wee little break as we have one final match for you right after this. One final match of the night, and this is going to be an interesting one, Pep. I feel like we both are quite unsure of where this is going to go. Lemix versus Euphoria. I feel like this is going to be probably the closest match of the night.
I reckon it's the bottom two teams of their groups, and this is really just a match for not really seeding purposes, but who's really at the bottom of their groups. Both of them are 4 and 5 respectively, so they're unfortunately not going anywhere further than today, but it's still a grudge match. It is, I'm pretty sure Lemix underneath Euphoria, but if Lemix 3-0 Euphoria, they'll be all the way at the top of one of them. That's Euphoria. I mean, if we go by chat predicts real quick, most of it's actually going towards Euphoria, interestingly enough, Apara, but I think for everyone's drop's sake, we all hope for a longer match.
Yeah, I think this is the one that if droppers out there are hoping for that, Kiriko skin, Hanzo skin, if you're still on that one, yeah, you're going to hope that this game goes 3-2. And I think of all the matches, as we've been saying, this is definitely the one to do it. They both are sitting down at the bottom of the board. And unfortunately for them, they do not have playoff hopes. So this is purely just like how would you put it? Like a match to make sure that you show the other team that you're better than them, I guess.
Yeah, they're not to be messed with down there. The Torbjorn fisticuffs, everyone looks down, but it's like, no, you can't mess with me. And both of these teams we were talking about during the break, they have had very close and very near comebacks to the reverse sweeps.
Yeah, here we go. Win or nothing. It ain't over till it's over. May the last dance begin. I'm loving these match previews, just saying. And this is literally it. It's win or nothing. There's just who is going to be the better out of these two teams. That's the only question we've got. Who's going to have that dignity of being able to sit in 4th spot rather than that very bottom 5th tier seeding. So Lemix and Euphoria, I mean, there is a little bit of just like respect they're trying to gain out of this match.
Yeah, more than anything else. And I think this bracket has been really, really hard for both of these teams, this grouping. Sorry. So these two guys being at the bottom, it doesn't mean that they haven't won a couple of matches underneath their belt. They're very good teams in their own right. I mean, we've seen Grace time and time again across multiple series, and they're there for your opening tank. And you've got Taylor and Oris on your supports, and I mean, you've got Soki-chan as well. We've seen them a couple of times on the DPS, and then hopefully getting those headshots if they are going to go that Widow will be Empire.
Empire has been phenomenal. Yeah. Empire has been absolutely phenomenal. But on Euphoria's end, I mean, Heesung is just such a... We've said Heesung a lot in the past. In fact, a lot of Euphoria have been up in the like Overwatch League level matches because Euphoria used to be Rhodes. So, you know, I'm going to call him Nah from now on. You know, such a good Ana search as well. Some phenomenal players. Yeah, I'm doing you. It doesn't happen, but you tripping up on one name, I trip on the other. You know, I'll do it for you, Pap.
Thanks, bro. That's a free space on a bingo card if you've ever had one. But, no, all these players, like you said, like Rhodes, they were the best of the best in APAC Summer Series. I believe we saw them now under a different name. And I definitely wouldn't call it a fall from grace. Just naturally, the Korean contenders is a lot harder. We've found in the past been a lot higher when APAC go into Korean contenders. It's not a struggle necessarily, but it's definitely more of a wall that they hit, as our first map will be Ilios.
I mean, I'm excited for Ilios. I love a little bit of Ilios there. So, very exciting stuff. And, I mean, I feel like once again with what everyone is trying to play and how messy these two teams are going to look, I feel like Ilios is one of those maps that will sort of cater to both teams.
I mean, we saw on the opening of whatever our teammate's favorite hero was. It was Widow, it was Sojin, it was a lot of those long-ranged hit scans, and that worked, so well in Ruins. I do like what Euphoria are coming out with. That's if they stick with it, with Heesung onto the Winston for that dive, giving a lot of space over to Songjin. Whereas Grace, though, going a little bit more, I wouldn't say meta per se, but we have seen Jungle Queen more than Winston. Never mind. Grace is like, oh, do I go ball? Do I go no? As they'll both be TPing out as we launch into Ruins, and it's really, can Songjin land the first shot, or it'll be Empire getting a lot of that railgun charge for a brutal left or right click.
Oh, Songjin almost finding a target there of Taylor or Empire, but managing to survive for now. Lemix just really need to find someone to run over or wait for Heesung to jump on them and then completely collapse over top. Meanwhile, Taejong just hoping to harass from behind.
Taejong's gonna really struggle to get in though, with the turret just constantly focusing them down, and the point opens up and Lemix actually just take it without really anything from Euphoria.
Oh, Narendra and Search are gone. Grace and Soki-chan completely running over the supports, and that's what they were looking for. Someone to run over. It became the supports, and now Heesung left to burn.
Wow, yeah, that's where the brawl is just so brutal into Euphoria. Euphoria, they need a little bit more space, especially for Heesung to be able to dive the targets they want to. But really, in asking that, what targets do they want to dive? Taylor perhaps on a Lucio, they can speed boost away. It's really just Soki-chan that can't escape too quickly, so they're going to have to dive in with Taejong's help to get a pick here, whereas Grace, they're just with their team the entire time.
This is the scary part about a Junker Queen as well. It makes it so hard for a Winston to dive. How do you approach when Gracie's pulling you back? Carnage is making you bleed. Like, it's so hard for Heesung to get any value at the moment, and the Primal Rage could be enough to try displace Lemix and get a couple of picks. Grace is gone, Osiris falls as well, and Heesung finally in a little bit of control here, hoping to turn the fight for Euphoria.
That was good too, because that was where Lemix were also coming up with a lot of their ultimates. Perfect time for Euphoria to take that one, and you have some in the back pocket still. We got Taejong with that pulse bomb. We've also got a big one, as we're calling them, has the nano boost, which will probably go into Heesung here.
You know? Yep, there it is, right onto Heesung. Heesung hoping to just make it real hard for Lemix to start running in on anyone, but Heesung is taking a lot of damage, decided to go back in. There was not the decision to make there, Heesung, and now your team's going to be punished for it. Songjun's gone, and Lemix are going to take control of point again.
That was such a brutal Gracie knife pulling back Heesung as Lemix, they barely had to really put any resources into that fight there. I mean, you had to use Kasune Rush, but that was about it. And with 77% now, you've only got 20 seconds to touch their Euphoria against so many ults.
Man, yeah, Euphoria are going to have to come up with something big at the moment, as Lemix have everything on the table for them right now. They got a full meal prepared and hoping to eat. Dragon Strike opening up this fight, pushing Lemix into a little uncomfortable corner. Now Molten Core saying, if you're on point, I am here too. Soki-Chen though does fall. Grace with the rampage, and Impia's overclock though completely wipes the floor of Euphoria. There was Molten Core over it, but so was Euphoria's dead bodies.
Oh my gosh, that was an incredible overclock, completely dismissing Search's rally there, and that's a lot of the packs and a lot of the armor that you get from Rally completely destroyed from Euphoria. Now that we're onto Well, do they go? Can we see the hog? Can we see a little bit of the memes? You know,
I don't think so, Pam. I don't think it's gonna happen. But you know, stranger things have happened. If you're gonna have fun, you may as well do it on the hog on Well.
We saw Kings Row today, so there has been some fun, at least to be had a little bit. Euphoria, though, they're running I wouldn't say tried and true, but this is where, like I said before, we usually see Echoes being run on Lighthouse, but especially on the Well. Lemix, though, they're just running what we saw exactly last time, as they'll be touching point early, looking to get a pick onto Songjun. Heesung, though, on the high ground, not letting that one happen at all, as Lemix, they're trying to go on a little bit of a flank, but completely denied at the moment.
Songjun's actually putting in quite a bit of work now for Euphoria, making it hard for Lemix to take this high ground, and gives Euphoria a bit of space to dive from behind if they want to. Doesn't look like they completely do. Taejong going in, but taking too much damage. Point slowly capping over to Lemix, hoping to get early cap and make Euphoria fight on the back foot. Taejong is now down thanks to Grace, and that point should cap to Lemix at this point.
Yeah, unless... I was about to say Heesung wants to touch a little bit, but no, it's just too much damage from Lemix at the moment.
Heesung's gone, and yeah, Lemix once again full control. Pulse Bomb not leading to much. I mean, Grace does fall in the end, and maybe gives Euphoria time to come back quickly.
It certainly does. You don't, however, have Briggs, Search just respawn just then, and they're not Lucio either, whereas Lemix, they have that Lucio to get back into the fight, and already they're pretty much a full-man squad with the Kasune Rush popped.
Yeah, Kasune Rush, Soki-Chan now able to just dance around, dodge Songjun's shots with a little bit more speed. Those pulse pistols struggling to keep up at the moment, and Pierre looking to go in a nano onto Taejong as well. This is the hope to turn the fight around for Euphoria, and they need to make it work, but so far, nobody's falling. Just a turret, and Soki-Chan doesn't need a turret to do well. Impia's there too. Songjun down. Heesung is falling low, but cap does go to Euphoria. They've got the point for now. Primal Rage as well from Heesung. They can stay alive, get a lot more health, and push Lemix back. That's good for Euphoria at this, right?
That was also a really good boot, though, from Taylor. They're looking to go in again. However, the anti-nade on Grace will slow things down at least a little bit. But Taejong, interesting dupe onto the Lucio. So, yeah, build up that sound barrier. Pushing Lemix away for now. Getting that tick slowly up.
Bomb not leading to too much. Impia, though, hoping to take somebody down there. Surge, got the rally, down barrier, and Molten Core really giving Lemix so much space to push in. Now a Rampage as well onto these supports. Bionade keeping them alive for a little bit longer from Naranda, but nah, falls, and that's going to be Surge gone as well. Grace on the Junker Queen, doing so well now.
Very even though, both sides pretty much capped and lost the cap at the same time. Euphoria though, making some switches now. Taejong gone over to the Tracer, whereas Songjin has instead picked the Ashe, which is interesting. You don't really see Ashe too much unless there's an Echo to be taken out of the skies, especially when you got Imperial on the Sojin. I'm surprised you're not trying to match that, but you get some headshots, build up that Bob. I mean, it's just brutal, but can you do it in time with 75% already in Lemix's favor? Euphoria taking a while to engage in this fight.
Just trying to find a way to into the boop, booping the Nano back. Heesung not able to get too much value out of it for now. Impia has that Kitsune Rush to help just try take people down, and with Heesung gone, Taejong's head gets found, and man, Lemix now looking good to take our first map of Ilios.
This will be it. Lemix have taken Ilios away from Euphoria. I mean, both of us were very confused about which one, who would take what, but it was pretty even, especially, you know, considering what we saw with Revival and Poker Face. We had a 99-99 to begin with, and Euphoria weren't completely out of well, but just put simply, it's very hard for Heesung to dive into in a comp like that, where it is a lot of speed boost. You do the Kitsune Rush. Of course, you have the Zuzu as well to completely remove any effects like the anti-nade that they had the Ana specifically for. So they were trying new and different things and exciting things, Euphoria, but Lemix had the more, I suppose, cookie cutter comp that we have been seeing, and it worked out in their favor this time round.
Yeah, Lemix running what they did against especially SPG, which made them nearly get that reverse sweep. That Junker Queen has been so good. So certainly they're looking on top of their game at the moment. We'll see whether Euphoria can even it up after a quick break. Lemix are up 1-0 at the moment, and Euphoria have to pick the map to take Lemix to try and even up the scoreboard. At this point, though, I feel like it could still go Euphoria's way. Both teams, they did look fairly even.
Sure.
Obviously, Lemix did come out on top, but Euphoria put up a decent fight.
Really decent fight, and it's now their map pick, and it's always fun to speculate what map we're going into here. Maybe we'll go Midtown, maybe might sing Kings Row. I think Apara and I would love if they somehow decided, you know what, let's pay the price of admission, let's go into Blizzard World. We love the dive, and dive is really good on Blizzard World, especially second point, and it works okay in Midtown, especially in second point, but you still got that first one that's pretty flat all round to get through. So, I mean, based on what we've seen, I know it is Ilios, so it is a little bit different than anything else, but their dives have been pretty good, and it will help Heesung if they do want to continue said dives to get in.
I think, I wonder whether it is just maybe they want to force this dive too much, and should they change it up, maybe bring out a Sigma, and moving into Midtown, Sigma could come out, so we're not going to, well, we might still see dive. I mean, we've seen teams just force the dive and it works, and sometimes it doesn't, so but I do wonder whether maybe now moving into Midtown, we do see Sigma come out.
We could, exactly. We could see some Sigma. We could see some fun, I suppose, being had, like that Reinhardt May with the teleporting strategy that we didn't just see from Euphoria, but we also saw a little bit from Poker Face as well, and that worked a treat with the Orisa on the attack. So we've seen a little bit more, I suppose, different comps come out, especially on attack. Defense, though, have been a lot of that Sigma. Occasionally you see some Xar Orisa, but Sigma's definitely been the more favored pick, I would say, especially to shut down a lot of those Genjis, a lot of the really high tempo comps. And Lemix coming out here on the defense first. Yeah, it's not a shock to see Grace back on that Sigma.
Gurium is now in, and they might be teasing with the Doom, but they could also run it. We've also had Taejong go out, Minutes come in, and then also Searches out and Asters in. So 3 swaps from Euphoria. I would expect Gurium to probably go, I want to say Sigma, but maybe they do want to run this Doom. Try and just run over Lemix, have a bit of fun with it.
But then why take mid on Sombra on Symmetra? Okay, you're teleporting maybe your Ashe around, but really you'd want to be going, there we go, with some very brawly picks. And that is very brawly indeed, with the Junker Queen coming out and Seonjum going over to the Bastions. They are going to teleport very quickly into the house with very little things to stop them except for a turret of all things. Minute's gone. The hours are up.
Yeah, with Minute out, I mean, it just is time ticking away until Euphoria either wait for that regroup or go in to potentially be completely collapsed on. Looks like they're just, renting out a new apartment, upper floor apartment, see if they can get a nice wee home for themselves.
Dude, the rent cannot be cheap though. It's like in the heart of New York City.
Yeah,
I think they need to move out. Otherwise, all 4 of them are going to be in sufficient debt with all the damage and also lack of funds, as well as Euphoria. Finally, Medit is back, nearly getting taken out again. 6 HP, and they do. Grace is gone. Sorry, Grace kills Medit.
Minute gone again, and it just means that Euphoria cannot move out of their new apartment. They've either got to stay or get sent back to their original home, and that is certainly Taylor taking down 2. Euphoria struggling to approach at the moment. Narenda does take out Osiris, though, their Baptiste counterpart, but oh my gosh, they also take down Impia, but finally finished off in that disruptor shot.
How rude. Not even an eviction notice, Apara. I think they need to go through the right channels and maybe sue Lemix. Maybe that's how they'll get the point. Just to get it through the law. But Euphoria, they're still running the same comp. They have a couple of them. Like, that's a burn. Grace is gone.
Oh, Grace just took so much damage from the amplification matrix. Now all of a sudden Euphoria's doors are completely open. They don't want an apartment anymore. They want to rent out a fire truck and cap point 1. Taylor taken down. Yeah, that first point should go Euphoria's way.
That sounds like more fun though, right? A fire truck. I'd live in a fire truck if I had to. I mean, it'd probably be a bit cheaper, right? But it was very interesting that Grace decided to, despite 2 picks, going Euphoria's way that second last fight, they stayed up really high and hard in the choke, and they didn't want to stay back, wait for the rest of their team, and they did use Flux as well. So Euphoria in a pretty good position right now, especially with Midit looking to teleport. They nearly have the photon barrier too, and Taylor getting taken out.
And now with that artillery strike taking out Osiris as well, no supports for Lemix. This is just going to be Euphoria running over Lemix here. I mean, Soki-chan does take down one, and Grace also finds Minute, but ultimately Euphoria have that fire truck in control.
They'll be back in time as well. Aster is in on the Lucio. They can taxi if they need to. But speaking of Aster, they have the sound barrier for this next fight. Midit as well, still holding on to that photon barrier for the very aggressive pushes that Euphoria are doing, which is working really well. In fact, so well that Grace is forced over onto the Orisa here because they are just getting kind of run over on this Stigma. So I do like this pick.
Ooh, Impia sitting on that high ground, maybe wanting to overclock from above, try and get them from behind. Minute though really is pushing this payload quite far. Impia now trying to go out the door, and someone's gonna have to touch, or this fire truck is capped finally. TP up onto Impia. Impia got caught completely alone. Gurium now rampaging over Lemix. A Molten Core to try stop this fire truck from moving, but it's Songjin taking down Soki-chan instead, and this payload should slowly but surely start turning into Euphoria's favor once again. Lemix do have those close spawns though, so you can see them coming back. Amplification Matrix is going to cause so much pain to Grace, and even with the Fortify cannot survive. Gurium taking down 2, and second point going to Euphoria.
Euphoria are doing so well at keeping the pressure on Lemix, not allowing them at all to set up, to build ultimates, and ultimately turn the fight around. I mean, Euphoria, I think they lost like 1 or 2 before that fight properly began, but able to turn it around simply because of the lack of ultimates from Lemix. Speaking of which, a lot of changes came round. We got Empire now onto the Genji, Graces onto the Junker Queen, loving whatever Gurium is putting out there as they are on the high ground.
Cyrus really just trying to make sure Lemix do not get caught out early and give Euphoria more space. But with that artillery strike now gone, Lemix might be able to start opening the door, getting onto that fire truck and shutting down Euphoria's push once and for all. They need to stabilize at this rate, and now with Songjin and Gurium getting aggressive, makes it a little bit harder for Lemix to go in. They're forced to Amplification Matrix, but they haven't found any picks through it. It is just slow, staggered out damage, not leading to too much.
It's just perfect for Euphoria. They're like, yeah, please use all the ults you want. We can just back right out, build our own. Minute now. Oh, hang on, that might be a pick. Soki-chan.
Finally allow Lemix to turn the tides into their favor. Gurium though getting really aggressive with that rampage. Sound barrier though is going to keep Lemix in the fight. Photon barrier now. Grace taking down Gurium though, so that photon barrier could not protect Grace. Empire taking down Aster. That is finally Lemix stabilizing and having this defense.
They repossessed the fire truck. It took them a while to get it off Euphoria's hands, but they took it without using too many ultimates as well, especially the likes of the tanks and DPS, which can turn those fights. However, you do have an amplification matrix for Euphoria's next engagement, which of course a lot of damage will go through, but it's the rampage to come out.
Right. Going super into Euphoria, and yeah, a lot of them collapse. However, Gurium and Songjin still trying to keep the hopes of Euphoria alive at the moment, and Soki-chan falling. That that payload's starting to move. Songjin just has to run now though, as Lemix do have control still.
And don't hurt that fire truck's feelings like that. It's trying its best, okay, calling it a bot. Lemix though they've managed to whittle the time down, right? You've got 1minute and 10 seconds remaining, and if you can take this one slowly, it could be the last one, but the blade...
Impia, but only taking one down. Songjin managing to even it up. Aster did fall, however, so now Grace is just trying to push anyone else from Euphoria back.
Yeah, you just, if you are Euphoria, you need the full 5 for this, pretty much this final fight. 50 seconds remaining. You really want to get it further than this if you're Euphoria. Songjin has the blade to try and do so for this final fight.
Blade needs to be big, trying to find Impia without even committing the blade, but here it comes. First onto Grace, but Grace is going to survive here as they decide to try and chase the supports. Impia is going to be the only one to fall to the blade. It might be enough if they just start rushing down Lemix, but Lemix have certainly been able to play quite well, play their space and wait it out.
Yeah, Lemix kind of have to do the same as well, but it seems like with a commanding shout and a beat from Lemix, they're going to go in hard.
Oh yeah, they're just going right into Euphoria, but Songjin says, hey, if you're going to come to me, I'm going to take you out. No more supports for Lemix now. Soki-chan trying to slide away, but Songjin not quite finishing them off here. Impia stalling it out. Grace and Impia hoping to try and take down a couple and then get this payload back to them. Grace falling, however, from Songjin with the help of that sound barrier is going to allow this payload to cruise. Will someone get the touch? Soki-chan sliding in here. Gurium now using the rampage, punishing the people who wanted to touch, and that payload pushes on through in overtime.
They've given themselves, Euphoria, a serious chance of taking out Midtown, and as much as we see Midtown, I can respect why you'd pick it with this Jungle Queen. We haven't seen it too much, and I forgot to point this out, Apara. I finally got my wish. Jungle Queen v Jungle Queen. It is harder to play on the defense, of course, but honestly, credit where credit's due. Grace did a really, really good job, but ultimately, it was the likes of Songjin to really turn these fights around.
I wonder whether someone on either team, either Euphoria or Lemix, realize they still need the drops and are just trying to build up a bit more time as well, because certainly this is even fights here, really.
There's some whispering going on, like, guys, this could be like the potential last day. Everyone's got to get their drops. Extend this a little bit.
I'm only on 80%, please. Let me get Kiriko.
Yeah, maybe it's the players themselves.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, goodness. Now, Euphoria have a really good chance with their defense here. It's all actually down to Lemix to answer it, and Grace going over to the Sigma. Don't see it too often on the attack, however, but I have to say, this Symmetra getting more and more popular to, from Korean contenders and APAC contenders as well, to just dodge a lot of those chokes, a lot of that poke damage that can come out from the likes of Midit, Songjin, and of course Gurium. As they're going to take middle for now, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do go and rent the apartment to the left for a little while.
Yeah, just a slow, approach, trying to go down the alleyway. Grace trying to take out this turret and just have a slow approach. You don't need to rush it in this comp style. You just want to get into the positions that you need to be comfortable in and try taking Euphoриa's apartment for yourself.
Yeah, it's a big question, about apartments. It needs a lot of thinking done. And Grace should have thought a little bit more about that positioning. Stuck in the bus stop for a second there. Did get out with their lives back into the safety of their apartment, as they really are hoping for someone like Impia on that Widow to get a headshot and really open up this fight. But at the moment, Euphoria playing really well.
Look, now Lemix have control of this point here. Gurium is forced to try and come in for the fight, and with Impia from behind taking down Aster. Trying to find Songjin there, but Songjin managing to survive. Look at where Euphoria's pushed to. They're pushed all the way back to where this pawn entrance is, and Point is just going to Lemix for almost free, and they get it capped.
Okay. It was almost like Euphoria had to re-attack what they should have been defending there. Lemix just walked on, and I guess they really wanted the fire truck very, very quickly. Hopefully, if you're Lemix, you can push it just as fast as Euphoria seemed to, but Euphoria, however, yes, they lost that fight reasonably fast, but they were able to get some really key ultimates in their pockets, whereas For Lemix, it was a bit of a faster fight. So he really only got Taylor that's close to a rally, but still, that would help with momentum.
Oh, absolutely. That rally could be good to keep Lemix moving at the moment, though. There's Guria moving into Lemix's face, pushing them onto the stairwell here, staircase even. Grace eating that javelin, not quite allowing Gurium to play as aggressive as they want, and now has built up the gravitic flux. Songjun, however, taking down 2, allowing Euphoria to start their stabilization on this first early high ground defense.
Maybe Euphoria like, don't worry guys, the fire truck is broken, we'll come and fix it, and you can repossess the repossession right back as Grace has an ultimate has their flux, excuse me, for their next fight, whereas Euphoria, they have Terror Surge, so it's going to be tank v tank, the poke versus the... I'd say the poke a little bit more brawly for Euphoria, however, especially with both Baptiste ready to go with their Amp Matrix. And a little bit of a quick switch from Empire as well.
Captive Sun came out. Taylor did get taken down. Sort of just a bit of a one pick win there, really.
Yeah, you don't want to push in without everyone there, especially because it was so early into that fight. There's no reason to try and pop ultimates and keep the fight going. You can just wait, but they haven't fully reset though. You might have noticed Lemix still building up to that their ults, and Empire, excuse me, gone over to the Hanzo. The Widow's not quite working out, so hoping those logs get him.
Soki-chan getting chased down by Taylor, but Taylor now forced to try and keep Grace alive. So much damage was coming out. Lemix really struggling to find where to approach. Soki-chan getting dinked a little bit there, manages to get into the crowd freeze, but the hammer kill from Songjun, the terrorist surge, that is Lemix falling apart once again.
That was a bit too slow for my liking from Lemix. Like, I get that they're waiting for a pick there, but that just allowed for Euphoria to, well, win the fight. But I think the biggest takeaway is the time burnt down. We had over 4 minutes, now burnt down to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And of course, it isn't over for Lemix, but any time burnt down is great for Euphoria. And especially because they only really had to use 2 ultimates in that fight. And Acer nearly up to another capture stun already. Here comes the flux.
Sucks. Naranda managing to save themselves from the immortality. Molten Core as well, making it a little bit harder to approach. Actually finding 2. Both DPS. Minute now able to take down Grace. Songjun getting taken down by Taylor, but took Osiris out. So once again, Euphoria have this defense in control.
Yeah, just consistently the picks from Euphoria have been far superior than anything that Lemix has been able to come up with. You can see Lemix what they were trying to do there as a team, push forward on main, but that's where Euphoria with that defensive positioning, they can envelop Lemix and take out the backline. And incredibly, Grace was one of the first to fall as well, even after using the flux. They were very isolated from the rest of their team. So coming into with 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, Lemix, they need answers.
Something big needs to come up, and Soki-chan taking down Songjun. Could be an Impia now, taking down the other DPS of Minute. So finally, Lemix are looking a little bit more alive here, able to get this cart back in action. Couple of tactical crouches.
Tactical crouches from Grace every time Gurium falls, I've noticed. Very, very sus. Euphoria, though, this is their final, maybe their final chance of a defense, as by the time it all engages, it will be pretty much a point B capture. But Euphoria not to be counted out. Captive Sun is alive and well, but with only 30 seconds remaining here, it's all on Lemix.
Really wanting to get in with that Captive Sun as well. Terror Surge! Oh, it's so big!
I think it's safe to say that the Sun has well and truly set on Lemix's attack here. It's going to be so final, this last second touch. 10 seconds remaining here. It will be up to Taylor to get this one, as it is 4 seconds. They got it, they got
touch. Yep. Okay. Now, can they make something out of it? With that touch into overtime, Grace starting to fall low. You can set up that healing pylon right on top. Grace has no healing pylon for themselves, and that overtime ticks away. Euphoria do manage to even it out 1-1.
Well, how about that? That's why Euphoria wanted to take them down to Midtown. They knew that their poke was more superior than Lemix's, and certainly proved that one. So this grudge match for not falling to 5th place will continue, as it has been evened up 1-1. It is remarkable to see the change in Euphoria once they went all in on poke, all in on going on different angles. It worked so well with the Tourbillon as well.
Oh yeah, Euphoria looked in control pretty much the whole series. There are a few hiccups here and there, but yeah, Euphoria have evened it up now. So Lemix get the map pick. We're going to find out what they choose on Flashpoint after a quick break. We are tied up 1-1 right now, and Euphoria, they're looking good at the moment. The question is, can they take this and run with it now? As Euphoria certainly have evened it up, can they just continue that momentum and take it 3-1?
So this is the funny thing, right? We've been talking about Flashpoint. It has the potential to be the map that just switches everything up, everything that we've ever known. But we're in uncharted waters here, because it is 1-1 here. No one is leading 2-0. So who really flips it around? Obviously, it is going to be Savasa, which is Lemix's pick. So, I mean, we've been talking about the differences, right? And they want to somehow be able to shut down this poke. And I suppose the tighter spaces, it will make it a little bit harder for Lemix to push through. So they want to go a little bit more open, a little bit more out in the open where they can we have seen a little bit of dive, but it'll probably most likely be that Zarya, Orisa, where they can be the ones to put pressure on Lemix instead.
I think that is ultimately the goal here, is who can just pressure out the competition better. This is definitely currently looking even, and if we're going off of what we saw in Ilios, then I feel like it could go back and forth once again. I feel like Lemix and Euphoria both could have quite the strong performance here.
I mean, we saw on well the closest obviously that we have is how well did both teams go on Ilios, and 99 to 99 across the with the first map. Lemix ultimately, of course, took that one in spades, especially that second matchup. So I suppose you could lean a little bit further into Lemix, but here's some quick subs. Search coming in for Easter, as there's still going to be the speed boost though. So it's one Lucio to another, as it's that Jungle Queen matchup that I was really hoping for. But DPS change of a Genji over the Torbjorn, so it remains to be seen the more intense poke over someone like the Genji. The dash resets him back.
Songjun really hoping to cause havoc back here for Lemix, but starting to fall low, had to dash away just to survive. Now, how are Lemix going to approach this?
Yeah, I mean, you're on the low ground now as Lemix. The Grace going to have to fight their way up, as ultimately Euphoria, they have the better positioning as the commanding shout goes in. A call to action.
Going right over top of Lemix, not finding any victims yet. However, Lemix are still staying strong, but even the staying strong is good for Euphoria because they're at 20%. Time just ticks up. Empire hoping to go on this flank now, try and take somebody out in long range, and now the rest of Euphoria is following. So Lemix are going to get chased down once again. Empire and Taylor are gone, and finally Euphoria have confirmed this fight win.
Well, it's exactly what happened really for Lemix in Midtown. It just took him that little bit too long to find that opening against Euphoria, and that's when Euphoria can strike once they've got all their abilities on lockdown. It will be Soki-chan. They got a little bit staggered, but ultimately Kiriko down. That's not too bad, as very quickly searching for their support Friendo to come back.
Empire now just kind of seeing whether it's worth trying to approach, and it looks like Lemix are going to take the fight.
They're going to take the high ground and pop Kitsune Rush.
Do manage to get on just in time thanks to that Kitsune Rush, and actually can start slowly ticking over. Kitsune Rush from Naranda though is going to even it up, and Lemix is starting to fall so low. Grace just managing to survive Rampage and a play. Grace responds with the Rampage on their own sound barrier. Everything's been thrown. Who's going to stick a little bit better? It looks like Euphoria come out on top.
That was so many ults from Lemix, and ultimately got nothing, as it will be Euphoria to take the first one. And now if you are Lemix, you only have your DPS ults for the next fight, whereas Search managed to hold on to that sound barrier. And also, another thing for Euphoria, they get to take this point pretty quickly, set up those that defensive position, get mid in a good high ground area to be able to pop that overclock, make it even harder for Lemix to try and retake.
Grace really trying to see an opening right now, but it's going to be Gurium just commanding shout to get on. There's an overclock from the side. Minute takes down Taylor, hoping to find another, but that is just once again Lemix struggling to approach, and it looks like Euphoria are just a little bit more in charge with this Junker Queen.
Again, okay, there's so much tactical crouching whenever one of the tanks dies. It is, I mean, we were building this up as a grudge match, and it's certainly proving to be one. But as I was saying, Lemix just really struggling to find that opening, find that pick. And Torbjorn's great, of course, on the defense, but he just kind of struggles a little bit on the attack. He's really got to rely on getting those headshots with the rivet gun. But other than that, Euphoria, they've got the point still.
Managing to take down Minute with the overclock, hoping to now put the pressure on the Gurium. They do manage to fall there, and that is going to be Temple now going to Lemix. Can they hold it?
We saw how well they could hold Ilios, and now this is their next objective capture. That's how they got to think about it. Grace got a really nice 2k towards the end there, but Lemix though, bit of a head scratcher. They don't really have any ultimates to try and stop Euphoria, and Euphoria are coming back with 3 absolutely brutal ones with Kitsune Rush, Rampage, and of course the Blade as well to boot. And Euphoria, they're going around on the high ground, making it a little bit tricky for Lemix to get a quick pick.
This Kitsune Rush is going to come right out, allow Euphoria to go right in. Songjin's Blade getting pushed away, not quite able to find many targets. Grace falling low, but doesn't quite get taken out just yet. Finally getting chased down by Gurium, and now all of a sudden, Euphoria are looking good to take that point back. They do get the cap, and now it is what are Lemix going to do? Probably just jump on point and die.
I think you kind of have to. You do not want to stagger yourself for this potentially last point here, as Taylor's trying their best to survive, doing all the jukes, but ultimately getting booped off the points.
No, still alive.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow,
gosh,
where's the
Taylor?
death barrier for that? They're back, but not for long. As I don't know, maybe it was just worth throwing yourself off at the end, because the point's already Euphoria's, and you're off to the next one. And then another 4.
They're both rampages? This is an interesting time to commit to a fight, but I mean, Euphoria are happy to take it.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Give me all those ultimates. As they'll be looking to speed boost to the next point. Lemix will be a little bit further behind, of course, as they did lose that fight. But ultimately, though, that definitely went more into Euphoria's side. Lemix, though, coming back in with the Molten Core. Taylor's still holding onto that sound barrier. Thank goodness they didn't use that last fight.
Oh man, so how did Taylor live?
How?
Managed to just get on just in time. Oh, but still cannot touch, which is so tragic. You almost should just give it to them. Minute now, overclocking, taking out Osiris, Gurium, taking down Soki-chan, Euphoria. If they win this first fight, they're going to put themselves in a very good last fight position to be able to... Oh, there we go. Now Taylor's thrown off the map.
Not letting him survive that time either. Just blew him up.
Absolutely.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, no, Taylor also committing the sound barrier to that and got nothing. Soki-chan still holding on to the Molten Core to try and retake, but this Torbjorn just isn't working very well for Lemix. They can't find those picks, but hang on a second. Songjin, that's definitely a pick that you want. Genji down, lots of pick potential gone, and the Blade too.
This is the fight that you need to win at this point with 70% left on the board. Grace and crew are going to have to come up big. MP up in the overclock. Gurium's taken down. That point will flip back to Lemix, but we've seen them get the point before. They need to hold it.
They need to do better with grasping onto their objectives. Soki-chan, I've talked about that Torbjorn a little bit. It's great on the defense if they can get it sorted out with the turret, but is that too much of a commitment from Lemix all of a sudden?
Songjin's Blade comes out, but gets taken down. Gurium now hoping to approach as well with the Kitsune Rush. They're really wanting to just go full in. Here, MP is down, Soki-chan as well. Gurium just going to run over Grace, and that point is flipping back. I don't think there's really going to be a chance to touch Lemix.
Lemix used Rampage, Grace, last second. I don't know what they were doing, and I guess they wanted to switch anyway to Doomfist. You kind of have to, but you can't even touch. Euphoria will take Savasa, and that wasn't even their map pick either, and yet I don't want to say it's... I don't want to be preemptive here, but it didn't look too hard.
Yeah, I mean, now it looks like Euphoria are that team that went into the Overwatch League sort of summer stage there with Rhodes and whatnot. So this is finally starting to look like the team that we were kind of expecting to see a little bit. Obviously, there's been a lot of swaps for Rhodes, a lot of new players coming in and changing around. But yeah, Euphoria finally looking like they have some life in them. We'll see whether Lemix are able to come back on push after a short wee break. Euphoria now up 1, so we're 2-1. We'll see whether Lemix are able to get back into the game and take us to a map 5 tonight. But yeah, Euphoria certainly finally look like, as I was saying before, that team that we sort of expected them to be early on in the series.
We were kind of, yeah, we are starting to see those stars shine, like we saw with Rhodes. They are Rhodes, what am I even saying? But we saw how amazing they can be as Rhodes in the APAC region, and now that they're in Korea, it's so good to see that they are playing so well against Lemix. And I mean, it's not their map pick, of course, as we are leading into push. It is in fact Lemix's, and they're going to take their potentially last stand in New Queen Street, a map that we haven't seen yet tonight.
Yeah, I feel like we've had such a great range of maps tonight, to be fair. It's been quite the fun night. And New Queen Street, potentially our final map if Lemix can't come out on top. Of course, Euphoria would be happy with that, being able to get the win to make sure that they are not sitting at the bottom of Group B.
Nope, definitely do not want to do that. And as we've been seeing, there's a lot of argy-bargy whenever one of the tanks dies. all the tactical crouching. So neither team wants to be right at the bottom. And New Queen Street, I think, is a really good pick for Lemix here. However, Euphoria are looking so strong now against whatever Lemix is throwing at them. I mean, we saw it was pretty dominant on Flashpoint, a 3-0 to Euphoria. So Lemix need to find some of that power that they had in Ilios and convert it into a New Queen Street victory here. I would be interested to see what tanks both of them want to come out with. Will we see double Junker Queen, which I would suspect, since the Midtown went that way for the brawl, or as we're seeing, will we see a little bit more poke from Lemix? It seems like they're not going to play Ramattra. There's no way. Anyway,
Grace is on Mystery Heroes right now. Just keep clicking until you land on one.
You may as well at this point, right? Just have some fun with it. Anyway, Gurium actually going back over to the Junker Queen as we're getting the JQ both sides. And it will be Torbjorn still from Soki-chan, whereas Sonjun from Euphoria is still on that Genji. So you have that matchup. And so far, it's been working in Songjun's favor. So maybe Soki-chan with a little bit more space now bought from New Queen Street, it might work out.
Impia just getting pushed away by Search at the moment, and it just looks like Euphoria are able to take better space. They're able to get up closer to Lemix and push them back. It seems like they just have a little bit more confidence. What a knife! Gracie right into Taylor, pulling them back, and that means that, Lemix are literally slower, so they can't take the fight as confidently.
They've lost all momentum here. Honestly, if you're Euphoria, you're kind of tossing up. Do we just push Lemix, see if we can get a team wipe on them, buy more time for Philip the robot to push our barrier further? But they are just going to wait around that corner, just keep poking away, and let's see how Lemix is going to take this back. Empire, obviously, seeing if they can get that shot.
Grace, though, is coming in, trying to start entering this fight. Soki-chan taking down Narendra, as well as a great opening pick for Lemix, removing that Kiriko. It removes so much healing and also just sustain. Grace able to take down Gurium now because of it, and yeah, Lemix are in this match.
Yeah, Osiris played a beautiful Amp Matrix there. So much damage. I think Euphoria, they almost didn't expect it. They were just sort of out, deer in headlights. Like, what's that? Oh my goodness. Got completely wiped. But Lemix, they're finally getting Philip into Euphoria's territory, but this is where Euphoria get dangerous. They have some really good ultimates. Of course, you have the Kasune Rush, you have Gurium as well with the Rampage, so they can play their cards right. And Taylor, without that sound barrier, it's going to be hard for Lemix to stay alive here unless they get a big pick like that. Minute gone.
Minute caught right from behind, and now because of that, everyone is collapsing on Gurium here. Grace hoping to finish off Songjun. They're just stalling it out and trying to keep this bot from moving. Grace is having a good time.
I mean, why not, right? Have some fun with it. And now Lemix, they've been able to get the ultimates that they needed in the fight previous. Euphoria, because of losing that, you've now given Taylor the sound barrier. You've also given them the molten core as well, which would shut down perhaps Songjun. Like when they go in with the blade, they've got to be careful of all the lava on the ground.
There is that blade sound barrier as well to allow Songjun to go in with the rampage. Everything's thrown on the floor. Songjun takes down 2, but also falls, and Euphoria look like they've got control for now.
I am kind of confused why Euphoria just didn't push in and help out Songjun a little bit more. You could have taken out Grace, but Grace staying alive there really helps Lemix to get a good, quick defense. Looks like Philip already been forced over.
Gurium hoping to enter overclock as well for a minute. It's going to really allow Euphoria to press W, but with that Amplification Matrix from Osiris, it turns it around. Grace is still going to fall 2 minutes. And without Grace, how are you going to approach? It becomes just a let's stall on point, try to shut down their push. And yeah, Lemix probably going to lose the lead at this rate.
They're going to lose not just the lead, Apara, they're also going to get that capture point, which will give Euphoria those closer spawns, make it even harder for Lemix to come back. And Lemix put so many ults and so many resources into that fight previously, got nothing. Euphoria put a lot of there and a lot of resources in and still have Philip. So a lot of them, it's honestly a pretty dry fight coming into this. Maybe some support ults will be seen, however.
Minute just trying to make it a little bit easier for Songjun to go in, but with Minute going down from Impia, Euphoria just going to collapse. Grace going to just clean up and get the bot moving again.
That was really well played there from Lemix to push in Taylor's speed boosting Soki-chan and giving them so much of that power up close, like pretty much like a Reaper, really, and that's just burnt down Songjun and Gurium. But of course the important pick was Minute getting sort of caught out. The rest of Euphoria had already kind of backed right up, but surely Euphoria want to touch before that spawn, and yep, that's exactly what they'll be doing.
Yeah, you don't want to give up that halfway point if possible. Grace, however, looking for an opening for this rampage with the amplification matrix, might be able to throw it out in desperation. Kitsune Rush now leading into a blade from Songjun, however, taking down Osiris and now going to try to take out Soki-chan as well. Minute, though, getting chased down, manages to get away, taking Grace with them. Soki-chan falls, Narinda is down, Impia's overclock. Probably going to allow the fight to go back to Euphoria unless Gurium can grid through it with the help of Search and get Euphoria back in charge.
That was a 2v3. That was all on Gurium and Search to carry that one, and carry they did as Lemix now left scratching their heads. However, they have 4 minutes remaining. They're far from over if we're looking time bank wise, but Euphoria now back in charge of Philip, pushing them towards that first objective. And Lemix, though, they're already there to greet him.
Yeah, just hoping to not give up that halfway point spawn again. Grace gonna try start pushing the bot. Impia falling low because of the disruptor shot, just poking it out, trying to find the first victim. Songjun getting caught out, and now Gurium hoping for this rampage, allowing Euphoria to go in. It's a molten core and a sound barrier. Taylor's going to be the first one to get a pick there. Minute falling down. Gurium taken out with the disruptor shot, and Lemix should now get bot once again in their control, but can they get it halfway?
I reckon they could. However, of course, Euphoria will have the closest spawns, so naturally they don't have to fall back as much as they wait for the rest of their team. But Gurium now respawning with the Rampage, and you also have the Kitsune Rush now online for all in Euphoria, whereas Lemix, they don't really have much. You got Osiris, I suppose, with the Amp Matrix. That was pretty big last time. Oh, the cap.
A Rampage from Gurium might be able to clean up Lemix here, but Impia taking down Narinda. Soki-chan is taken out, however, but like that Kiriko could hurt to not have. Songjun, though, does not care. Swift striking through 2 and getting the bot back.
Man, Lemix were just like butter to Songjun there. They built up like 40% of their blade in that one fight, already 90% And with the Kasune Rush, the faster, I guess the blade wielding, that will just cut down Lemix unless it can be shut down somehow with Osiris's Amp Matrixes. Yeah, Euphoria, they want to push it somewhat, but without all of the team back, can't go all in just yet. The Go Bun's being pushed.
Oh, the Amplification Matrix isn't going to stop Songjun's blade, but the Immortality is. Impia shooting right through Songjun. Now Gurium hoping to try and just get that bot back into that halfway zone so they can get closer respawns, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Minute taking down Impia. Gurium falls. Taylor follows. It looks like Lemix have that bot back in control, but the halfway point got captured.
Not just that, but Euphoria pushed it 0.48 meters further, so they took the lead. It would have been even Stevens, but because of that tiny little step that Philip took and the fact that Euphoria managed to actually kind of clutch out this fight, it's a little bit back and forth here, Opa, but no team is willing to just go all in just yet.
Here hoping this overclock can allow Lemix to take that lead back, but it is such a scrappy back and forth so far.
It is, and Gurium, though, they both know that that ult is coming up very shortly, but Impia, like you said, this overclock needs to be big.
4 minutes overclock, though, is going to be big. Taking out Osiris, going to find Grace, too. Now just trying to clean up these last few. Soki-chan and Minute manages to take out Minute, but Gurium does not care. They don't need Minute to keep this fight alive and take a further lead now.
I feel like that was a bit of what we've been seeing a lot from Lemix. They're more reactive than proactive, and sometimes it works, but in that instance it did not, with Minute the first to pop overclock and it being wildly more successful than in Piers. And now they're looking into this next fight. This play's nearly online.
Grace hoping to not give too much space, but a rampage from Gurium onto all of Lemix's backline forces the Molten Core out just to stop any follow-up coming. Impia managing to take out Songjun, but Grace has fallen. Impia now finding two, and Impia always hoping to be the hope for Lemix. And can they finish off Searchy? Yes, Impia trying to go for the 5k. It's just Gurium, that's all that's left, and Osiris technically steals it, but Impia did so much work.
So much work there as Euphoria. This is their final defense and Lemix's final attack, final chance to try and get Philip further, as they do not want to be 5th place here, Avara. Lemix, they don't want to fall all the way down the seedings. They need to win this, but Euphoria, they have some pretty good ultimates to pull this one back.
It's really Euphoria's match to lose here at the moment as this blade comes out. Songjun not quite finding the picks just yet, but it's going to be Impia down. Soki-chan, everyone collapses in that room. Lemix's hope is Grace, and their overtime is gone. Euphoria take it 3-1, win the series, and confirm that they are not the bottom seeding.
Oh man, Lemix, they did so well. They picked New Junk City. They got it very, very close. But Euphoria, after the first map blunder, just took the baton and ran with it. Euphoria looks incredibly strong, especially that, you know, Junker Queen versus Junker Queen matchup. I have to say, it definitely went in Gurium's favor a lot more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It did feel like out of the two tanks, Gurium just came out on top a slightly bit more. Grace definitely put in a lot of work too, though, and once again, even though Euphoria won 3-1, it did still feel very back and forth at times. It didn't feel like it was a convincing win, apart from potentially one map of Midtown. But otherwise, it sort of felt like there was a little bit of back and forth. There was some life in Lemix.
No, it was good to see it, right? It was good to finish these two up with a really close match. You cannot be unhappy with how both teams performed there, and we have a full tank sweep of player of the match, as it will be Gurium taking this one.
I I feel like the second Gurium came in, Euphoria just looked like a different team, and so absolutely deserve to be getting this player of the match tonight. A lot of amazing rampages coming through, critical moments and critical picks. I feel like Gurium was really good at chasing down those targets that they needed to take out to confirm a team wipe, and I'm really happy with that. But I like tanks, and I love them getting player of the match and getting that respect they deserve.
One day it will be a support. It'll happen. It's gonna happen because, man, it bears repeating, but the supports, they are the invisible heroes sometimes. But we got to give some love to these tank players who really. They are the only tanks now in Overwatch 2, so it's all on them to make the shot calls, to make the space to allow the DPS to get said kills and make it easier for the supports to heal the rest of their team. And this is your standings for today. SPG getting taken out by Dreamers, a 3-1 though, so stopping Dreamers clean sweep. Revival, unfortunately, not doing the best into Poker Face. And then, as we just saw, Lemix versus Euphoria. Euphoria now taking that full spot, will not go any further, but they have overtaken Lemix.
There are still some deciding factors that are going to have to come out in these next couple of days. We've got Dreamers versus J&GK to decide where J&GK is going to sit within Group B. We've got Panthera versus Revival as well to see if Panthera is going to stay on that third spot or maybe get some more points if Zero gets 3-0. I don't think there's a chance for Panthera to step up into third place looking at maths, but, we'll see it all tomorrow. But also, that first match, Zero versus Poker Face, it's going to be a very, very exciting, intense matchup.
Yeah, Zero have been playing really, really well, honestly, and they're sitting second, and if they can 3-0 Poker Face, it'll actually be even Stevens at the top of the group rankings going into the playoffs. And then J&GK versus Dreamers, that'll also be a match to behold, as well as that is a little bit of caster bias, as Dreamers are Apara's favorite map. So, favorite map? Or it's a map now. No, favorite team, of course. So, I'll be the J&GK seesaw to keep everything balanced tomorrow, because you'll see us again. Hopefully a matching shirt this time. We're really sorry, chat. We couldn't figure it out fast enough.
Yeah, it turns out we only have one shirt that matches, so we'll see if we can find another, but who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, absolutely.
We can't just wear the same in a row. We own other clothes.
We do own other clothes, we swear. But yeah, I do just want to say big thank you to a Euphoria Lemix especially, but also to SPG for these matches. This is the last of their round robins. We unfortunately won't be seeing Euphoria or Lemix again, as they have not made the playoffs, but SPG as well completed out that round robin today. Tomorrow is going to be more round robins completions. As we saw, those will be the last 3 matches of the round robins, and will officially decide placements for the playoffs. So there's still a little bit more that needs to be decided here coming up tomorrow.
A little bit of argy-bargy. No one tomorrow, though, will be getting taken out. We know the 4 teams that have gone home, including FM as well, which we did not mention. We neglected to mention. But yeah, these 4 teams, going head-to-head, 6 teams going head-to-head. I do math. This will just be like who takes first, second, and third. What will make the playoffs just that little bit easier for each team? What team gets to have a breather? What team gets that bye that will help them to have a look at their competition, to really define what comps they want to play into the teams that they're going head-to-head for the playoffs. So do stick around for that.
Yeah, it's all going to be coming to a technical conclusion of the round robins tomorrow. A few things that still need to be decided, and placements on where they're going to be in the playoffs, whether they make the bye or whether they are going to be sitting in that first quarterfinals match. So I don't know about you, Pat, but I'm very excited for tomorrow. I think these matches are going to be maybe some of the most intense, because it is quite big deciding factors for the playoffs.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, you have as well Panthera, which have done a spectacular job as well. But I mean, let's just see how that all goes. So please stick around tomorrow night, as Apara and I will be taking you through those games as well. And we will catch you all later. Take care.